my cord misrouted there.
Probably where G vacuumed yesterday.
Check. Chicken check.
Here, Blake. You can pass them. Dude, you're live through that tangle there. You just got to deal with it. Well, you should have went unlive.
We're live?
Yeah.
Check.
Sorry, guys. The tech guy
No.
routed my headphone cable through a bunch of dang
I
wires.
said,
He does
are
it
you
about
ready to-
once every other week?
Are you ready to go live? And you said, yeah.
Well, that was,
And you weren't.
that was because I was assuming you had done your job before you asked me if I was ready to go live.
That was predicated on
Yeah.
you being ready.
Yes. So, Blake, when you posed the question to us, is anybody going to start the podcast there?
Well, no, not yet, Corn. You ready now?
Yeah, start the dang podcast, man. When you ask me, Blake, are you ready to go live on the podcast? That means that you've done everything that you were supposed to do. Good night. You know, he has one job. He has one job to make sure these cameras are set up, to make sure that my headphone cord isn't tangled up in anything so that I can do what I do. You know, I don't expect you to do my job, Blake. So that's what happened there. That's why there was a little momentary
just shut up and get on with it.
lull in the live portion of the podcast.
Get on with it, man.
Welcome back to the 3 of 7 podcast, everybody. We're glad you're here. Flags are still at half mast. We don't know why, but they are. So that's just a good observation for you guys today. Today we're probably going to spend most of the time talking about our big mountain biking extravaganza that went down just this past Saturday. We had a lot of wrecks, a lot of injuries, a lot of ups and downs, but we'll tell the story to y'all here in just a little bit. That was a Cornbread original mission right there. It was good. We missed you, Chill.
No.
Why didn't you come?
Well, it was biking.
Yeah. You've got a bike.
Well,
You've
I
got a
didn't,
road bike.
I didn't come on account of it was biking.
Well, why do you have a bike then?
Well, I don't.
Well, yeah, you do. Whose road bike is that?
Big Jeff.
Oh, dang, that's Jeff's bike.
That's 1984 Dave Scott tri-bike.
That's a nice bike, man. That's a nice bike.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I guess we'll start the podcast off with a Patreon question, like we have started to do. That's becoming now a regular segment on the show here. If you guys don't know, we have a Patreon page that we share a lot of behind the scenes stuff. We do Resurrected, and we also want our members on Patreon to start influencing the conversation, and that's what this is all about. We take a question a week and we answer it on the podcast. We had a real good question this week that I think is going to be relevant to quite a few people, young and old. So we'll just start out with the Patreon question, since you guys are like a bunch of freaking dead fish this morning. What is wrong with you guys, man? Cornbread, what is wrong with you, man?
I'm straight, brother.
Somebody said maybe the flags are at half mast still from Memorial Day.
No, it's because Jackie Carter died.
Today?
Huh?
Today?
No.
I think she died last year.
Well, that's why they're down.
Yeah. Got to have it down for at least a year.
You didn't know the protocol?
No, I didn't.
Also, if you remember, it's 138 days before 9/11, the 23rd anniversary.
I got it.
Yeah.
I got it. Clear.
And we're 24 days out from the National Day of Remembrance.
That's probably what it is.
Well, it's all three.
All three.
If you
combined.
take an account of all three, flags are down.
Yeah.
It's pretty big.
What is wrong with you today, Cornbread?
Nothing, dude. What are you talking
Look
about?
at dang. Sitting over there like a mudback
I
tortoise,
feel
man.
crisp. Somewhat crisp. Anyway.
Are you swollen, man?
Oh, wow.
You walked in here
Do I
like you
look
was
like I
swollen.
was
walked in
retaining
here like
water?
He's
walked in
been
there
he's
like
been
you're swollen,
ridiculous.
man.
He is.
You
Man.
walked in
I
a little
mean,
swole.
Did I?
This is y'all
Gosh,
are getting
dude.
too
Do I
wild.
look intimidating sitting here? I just look bloated.
Dude, did y'all see that picture that I shared on my story of me and Cornbread after Murph?
Mhm.
Did y'all see that he looked like a daggone, like a fitness model, dude?
Oh, come on now.
Well, yeah, I see him all the time.
Dude, so many people commented on that picture. They were like, dang. Talking about CB. They were like, dang, y'all better look out, man. CB's rising up. That joker's starting to look strong, dude.
Well, he is strong.
He's starting to get some shape to him. You know?
Some shape.
Yeah. Yeah, that was I looked at that. I looked at that picture too. I was like, daggone. I told my wife, I was like, dang, look at CB, man. Joker getting shaped up.
Hmm.
I don't know what's wrong with you today, man, but yeah, I tell you what, right now, you're gonna have to snap out of it, all right?
I'm Chris.
No,
I'm Chris.
that don't matter if you're Chris. Look,
For Chris.
look. you have a dang.
If you're
It
Chris or
don't
not.
matter if you're Corn, if you're Chris.
You're part of this podcast,
What
Cornbread.
am I doing? You're not articulating.
You're just sitting there, man.
He's sitting there like
You ain't even saying nothing,
sitting there like
man.
a swole turtle.
You've been talking.
I mentioned the bike ride, and you just sat there like we didn't even go on a bike ride. You didn't even say nothing,
Because you
man.
continue talking.
Good
It's called
God,
respect. You don't cut folks off.
Man.
Are you swelling from the ride?
I'm retaining water.
Yeah, he's a little swollen.
He got a couple miles in from that trailhead. He swole up.
He sat out on that bench, didn't
Yeah.
No, there wasn't no bench sitting. I'll tell you that right now.
Good night. All right.
He swole up when he got into Cedartown if it wasn't on that ride.
He's having a hard time, buddy. All right. Here's the Patreon question this week. This actually says this would be a question for Chili. But well, we can all, if any of you guys have anything on this, you know, everybody thinks Chili's so smart. Everybody just thinks Chili knows freaking everything, dude. You know. And he is pretty smart. Here's the question. What should a single young man do about our sexual desires? I'm a 29-year-old man in great shape, which means I have a lot of testosterone running through my blood still. A lot of people, this question will make Chili uncomfortable. That's why it's a bad question to ask Chili, because see, he's not mature enough to address this question. A lot of people say to just go for a run or work out to take your mind off it. But when I do those things, my sexual urges get stronger. I do not think I will ever marry. I've had 2 serious relationships, which led to a child from each. I have been single for 4 years now. I'm the happiest I've ever been, but I feel like I'm coming up short on feeding these urges, or I guess dealing with these urges. I do really good and cannot indulge in them for a couple of weeks, but then I am tempted by a woman and feed the urges. Yeah, I get that. I feel you on that. That's the way it is, right? This is my biggest problem area, and I have prayed diligently for the Holy Spirit to take away those desires. My local church does not like talking about stuff like this, so I have no one in my real life to answer this for me. It's a legitimate question, man.
Absolutely.
It's a legitimate question.
Absolutely.
It really is, man. And you know what's cool about this question is the world would think this question is silly, because the world looking at this guy right here and saying, why are you concerned about it? Like, you're single, man. Go out and sleep with women, get you a girlfriend, and just go ahead and just, feed those sexual desires and go along with it. This right here this would be astounding to the world, that there's a man who says, dang, I'm single and I like being single, but I just can't get control over my lust. And it's driving, it's not, I don't feel good about it. I know that what I'm doing is wrong, and I'm convicted of it, and I want to figure out how to freaking get this under control, man. The world would think that's a silly question. So it takes a lot of courage to ask that question, man.
I agree.
And I can relate to that question, dude, because I didn't get married until I was probably 26. Was I 26 when I got married, maybe, Blake? Probably.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something like that.
I was 26 when I got married. So I went many years through my young adulthood with the same type of urges that you're talking about, man. Now, I didn't know the Lord, so I just went wild. But looking back on that part of my life, yeah, it's a real thing. And I'm always impressed when I meet men, especially young men who are not married, who have chosen to maintain their sexual purity for their wife when they do one day get married. I've always like stood in awe of that. Like, dude, that's a heck of a daggone accomplishment, if you want to call it that. But the world thinks that that's foolishness. Now, this guy's in a little different situation, because he says he's got apparently no intentions to ever get married. But do you know that the Bible answers this question? I immediately knew the verse to go to when this guy asked this question. Do y'all know?
1 Corinthians
Yeah.
6:18.
Yeah. Yeah, the Bible gives us instruction on this, man. And so the conviction that you're feeling about the lust of your flesh, that is being prompted by the Holy Spirit. And I think is evidence of your salvation and evidence that the Holy Spirit is in you, convicting you of your sin. So that's a good thing, man. And I know you said you don't ever plan to get married, but here's what the Bible tells us, and we believe the Bible's the Word of God. And this is Paul written by Paul by inspiration of the Holy Spirit. It says, I say therefore to the unmarried and to the widows, it is good for them if they abide even as I. Now, Paul's talking about the fact that he's not married. Paul was not married. And so he's saying it's good for you, if you're not married or you're a widow, to just stay unmarried. Now, why is that why would Paul say that? Why do you think Paul would say that's a good thing? What do you guys think? Why do you think he's saying that? I think that Paul is saying that because he addresses it in other places. The married man gives a lot of himself to his wife. The married woman gives a lot of herself to her husband, which is not sinful, but it does take away from what you are going to give to the Lord. And so I believe Paul is saying this. He's saying it's good if you want to stay if you're not married, it's good if you just stay unmarried, because you're going to give more to the Lord than you probably would if you decide to get married. So along those lines, and I don't have those other verses pulled up where he goes through that, and you can find them, right? So along those lines, there's nothing wrong with not wanting to be married. But here's what he also says in the very next verse. But if they, that's widows and unmarried people, if they cannot exercise self-control, let them marry. Why? Because it is better to marry than to burn with passion. All right? So look here, man. I know you say you're happier than you've ever been because you're single. Well, let me tell you, first of all, if you will seek out a godly woman, I believe that you'll be happier with that godly woman in relationship, in marriage, than you are right now as a single person. I could be wrong. I don't know you. But I'm going to go ahead and tell you, there ain't nothing better than having a good woman around. A good woman. Now, if you get an old nasty one, it gets rough. But there ain't nothing better than having a good woman around. I know you're not thinking about getting married, but here's what God's word tells us. That might not be an option for you. If you are truly trying to get this sin under control in your life and you just can not get it, you need to, God's word's telling you need to seek out a godly woman and you need to get married, because that's going to be better than you spending the rest of your life burning with passion. Because then that becomes, you see what I'm saying? That becomes then even a bigger distraction in terms of you serving the Lord than being married would be, than being married would be a distraction. So when you sum it all up, what it's getting down to here is, if you're not married, you're going to really give your whole life to the Lord. If you get married, there's going to be other distractions in your life. That's just the reality of it. That's just the way it is. But if you don't get married and you simply burn with passion, then that's a way bigger distraction than the distractions that you're having due to the relationship that you're trying to navigate in your marriage. And Paul's not even saying here, he's not even saying, let them marry because it's better to marry than to commit sexual immorality. That's not what he said. He said it's better for you to marry than to burn with passion. So he's even talking about people who maybe have decided to crucify their flesh and no longer participate in sexual immorality, but they're still inwardly burning with passion. And it's still better for you to get married. So, according to God's word, you need to seek out a godly woman and you need to get married. Might not be what you want to hear, but that's what God's word says in addressing this particular question. I mean, when you just get right down to it. So, what do y'all think?
Well, I think in regards to what you just said, Paul is saying, seems pretty straightforward that that's what he's saying, but I'll just, not that my opinion in this regard matters, but I think that's odd. I mean, to me, framing marriage and getting married essentially for the sole reason of being able to do certain things, if you will, and that's the entirety of it. I mean, to me, that's odd. Like, to me, that in lies a problem if that's why you get married and that's the only reason.
Mhm.
I think that's weird. I mean, really, I do. Like, if that's the only, or not, or maybe not, maybe it's not good. I don't know how you'd say
Well,
it.
that might be the initial reason that you say, okay, I'm not going to be able to stay single because this sin is constantly a problem for me. And I'm just not going to be able to stay single because I can't stop engaging in sexual immorality. So I need to seek out a godly woman and I need to have a relationship and a marriage with her and do this thing right. That just may be the initial thing that makes you say, I really like the idea of being single, but I can't be single and live for the Lord. I can't be single and not partake in sexual immorality. I cannot get this part of my flesh under control for whatever reason. Like that, there's nothing wrong with that being the initial thing, the initial reason for you to rethink the way that you are deciding to live your life. You see what I'm saying?
I just think that's interesting. I mean, I don't know. Huh.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just odd to me. Like, I don't know. I don't think that would be a good thing if that's the only reason. I mean, not that. And I mean, I go back to what when you say you would do more for the Lord if you're single than if you're married because of how much you give to your wife.
I mean, that is what the Bible says.
Yeah, it's what.
It's not my opinion on that.
Well, no, I mean that's.
Well, Paul doesn't say that you can do more for the Lord if you.
Yeah, he
that's
doesn't.
Your reason
He doesn't
why,
say
right?
that.
I mean, you're saying that.
I mean, I find that not true. Like, how could you say that?
I need to find that verse.
Like, I don't know how you could make that statement. Like, how do you know it wouldn't increase what you could do?
Yeah,
I mean,
because
I think there's
both of you are serving the Lord. How would it not? Well, the Bible talks about one can put what's it like? One can put 1,000 to flight. Two can put 10,000
Yep.
to flight. Like 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2. In that.
Yeah, I mean, I
regard,
think if you want to talk about the biblical idea of marriage, it's literally to do the opposite of what you're saying, to take away from what you could do for the Lord. It's to increase it.
Oh, it was right here.
I mean, and maybe depending on the situation and what happens and who you are and what it may take away from it, or you may take away from what they could do, but it could also increase it for both of you seemingly.
It was right here. It was right here in verse 32. What I was trying to say in my own words. I guess I should just read it here. But I would have you without concern. He that is unmarried careth for the things that belong to the Lord, how he may please the Lord. But he that is married cares for the things that are of the world, how he may please his wife. That's what I was getting at right there.
Well, then why? I mean, then
there is a difference also between a wife and a virgin. The unmarried woman cares for the things of the Lord, that she may be holy both in body and in spirit. But she that is married cares for the things of the world, how she may please her husband. That's what I was getting at. And this I speak for your own profit, not that I may cast a snare upon you, but for that which is comely, and that ye may attend upon the Lord without distraction. I mean, look here, man. That is the reality.
All that's saying in the way you're framing it is that marriage is a really bad thing unless it inhibits you from doing, unless it's going to be worse if you don't get married. That's literally all that. I mean, that's the way you're framing that.
Well, look, that is the reality of the situation. A married person does in fact life becomes more complex in marriage. And a married person does indeed become careful or concerned about the things pertaining to their spouse, which is, there's nothing wrong with that. But does it detract from what you would do in service to the kingdom of Christ? The reality of it is, man, is I would say not in every scenario. Definitely this doesn't go along the lines for everybody. But yeah, for a lot of people, they get really bogged down in their marriage.
Well, would that not indicate another problem other
Well,
than
yeah,
just the fact
exactly.
that you're being other than, I mean, but that's attacking marriage itself, not the problem within your marriage that is causing it to get bogged down and then do what you're saying. I mean, that's two separate issues. Is the problem marriage itself that bogs you down and keeps you from doing everything for the Lord? Or is it, oh, there's this, I'm married and then there happens to be this problem in our marriage because of some other sin or some other problem, and that's keeping me from doing that. I mean, that's not marriage itself.
No, I think that when a marriage is done God's way, then it does this when it's done God's way, that it's not a big distraction. But when it's it's hard to do it God's way in the way it's supposed to be done all the time. And so there are aspects of it that do become a distraction.
I mean, according to what you said, there's a lot of things that are hard to do, but I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's like, is marriage a good or a bad thing? I mean, I know you would say it's not contradictory because you're talking about it in a specific way, but it's like, you've almost got to pick one.
Yeah.
Like, is it itself good or a bad thing? Should you do
does
it? Does
God create bad things is what I would ask you.
Well, I'm not asking that question.
I mean, but
really,
that
like,
would be the question,
yeah.
right? Because in Genesis, it says it's not good for man to be alone. Let me make him a helper. And if that's the case, why did he make him a helper and create like?
Yeah, I mean, I understand the contradictories or seeming contradictions lie in our understanding of things, but like, that is a contradiction if you take it on face value. It's not good for man to be alone, and then it's better off if you ain't married. Like, yeah. That's like, you have to frame those properly to understand how they both work in conjunction. And like, I just think the way we're talking about it is like, oh, marriage is bad unless I don't agree with that.
Yeah.
I mean,
no, I don't
think it detracts from.
I don't think that saying marriage is bad in all cases, especially when it's done the way God ordained it to be done.
Well, then if it's not being done that way, then the problem isn't marriage. The problem is something else.
Yeah.
I mean, just flat out. Like, I don't see how that's any more complicated, really, because it can't be both. It can't be good to be married, and it can't be bad. It's one or the other. And if marriage, if you want to say because of your marriage, quote unquote, you're giving less to the Lord or less than you would if you were single, well, then there's another problem.
Yeah.
There's a problem with how it's being conducted. That's not being married. That's the problem. I can't give an example, but it's like, well, no, man, you're doing this. Like,
well, if we look at this specific case, I mean, what this is saying, if we narrow it down to the specific example, is marriage is good in this situation. Marriage is good for the man who is burning in lust or burning in passion for a woman. So,
but then it becomes good in that case just to keep you from.
Well, it's almost like this particular part of 1 Corinthians is talking about a specific scenario, like someone who is struggling with this same question that was just asked.
Yeah.
It's almost pertaining to that specific scenario.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But I would also caution the guy that asked that question, anybody else like it, to, having said all that, still caution you to get married just for that reason. Just find you a woman, get married, and that, like, you are then set up for the problems that will cause you
Yeah.
to have the marriage, so to speak, get in the way of your service to the Lord. I mean, you just will.
Mhm, mhm.
Like you're gonna have another whole host of problems.
Yeah. Well, or you could look at it this way. You make the decision as a young man to seek out a godly woman and have marriage because it's going to allow you to serve the Lord better because you are burning with passion. So like it's actually a decision that's being made to say, no, I'm not going to stay single for the rest of my life. I'm going to seek out a woman because it's going to then allow me to draw nearer unto the Lord because it's what I need to
Yeah,
do.
Paul was addressing sexual immorality because the Corinthians were extremely sexually immoral. And so he's not, I mean, he is talking about marriage, but he's not addressing marriage as marriage problems. He's addressing sexual immorality and providing some sort of like, hey, if you continue on this, you're sinning against your own soul.
Yep.
Which, if you do get married, that at least provides some so that you're not sinning against your soul. Yes, you probably will still have other problems, but they won't be on the degree or on the level that you are sinning against your own soul. Like it's not a solve all,
Yeah.
but it's like, hey, we're in a dilemma here. There's,
they're right.
there's
That's
no
the context.
good.
Yeah.
There's no good answer, but this would be better.
Yeah, and I think the sinning against his own body is relative in the way that he asked the question.
Yeah.
I'm young. That's why he wanted Chili to respond because Chili's young. I have a lot of testosterone. I'm in great shape. And then I get tempted by a woman.
Mhm.
All of those were pretty much things of his body that says, okay, he is indeed sinning against his own body when he does that. I looked it up, 1 Corinthians 6:18, flee sexual immorality. Every sin that man does is outside the body, but he who commits sexual immorality sins against his own body.
Yeah.
And I think it's 2 Timothy 2:22 where it says flee youthful lust. Goes back to him being youthful. And it makes me think when talk about fleeing sexual immorality. Chili, you probably know Genesis 39, where Joseph, I can't remember the Pharaoh's captain's name, but Joseph was the servant to the Pharaoh's captain, and his wife
Oh yeah.
kept bothering him, and
Yeah.
I believe had him naked, had Joseph naked, wanting to have sex with him, and he fled. He
Yeah.
took off running.
And
I
she
mean,
schemed against him.
That,
and
dude, that is
framed him.
tough. It
Yeah.
don't matter if you're young or not. I mean, I believe in this gentleman's question, his youth is playing a big part in his head as well because he allowed it. But fleeing is tough.
Yeah.
You got to be wired tight
Yeah.
to flee like Joseph did.
For sure, man.
But I think the telltale to exactly what was playing on with this gentleman about sinning against his own body is all written in his question. I mean, if he'll really look into it and break it down scripturally, he will see exactly the steps he needs to do to go to God with it.
Yeah, and you look at this like in light of well, as maybe a comparison that you can see, a physical comparison. Like this is a like a hard, tempting time in his life. And so if you look at, in the physical, something you could see, like maybe you're training for some sort of, he sounded like he was in shape. So whatever, maybe you think of training for something and you think, all right, well, in this training session, you're going to have to eat a lot more. You're going to have to, everything's going to have to change. You're going to be more diligent about what you're taking in. And it's the same thing. You can't just wake up in the morning and read your Bible once and say you're good to go for the day. If this is a hard spurt for you, then you're going to have to read and meditate and memorize scripture and come to God 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, however many times a day it takes so that you're so close to him that those thoughts don't actually enter. And I mean, it might be 24 times a day. You might be having to go a couple times every hour that you're awake, but at different times, you got to be more diligent with the things that you do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so I think like Chili talking about how these verses in First Corinthians bring up some seemingly contradictory points about marriage. I think bringing it back to what Blake said and how this is discussing the topic in the context of sexual immorality specifically really gets us back on track. And I think is what you have to do with all scripture that seems contradictory is go back and say, who is this being told to? And what is the context of this? And how does it now fit within the context of life? Right. And so, yeah, that advice is being given specifically in context to someone who is struggling and burning with this passion and sexual immorality. And look, man, I tell these guys all the time, these guys right here, they all say, well, I'm not going to tell you I'll just tell you what I say. If my wife was to die, I'm getting married again. You know why? Because I love women too much. That's what I'm telling you, man. Like, I'm a lot like this guy asking this question. Like, look, I have not crucified my flesh to the point, it has not been worked yet in my life to the point that I think if something happened to my wife, that I could go on about the rest of my life and not burn with passion for women. Because I love women. They're a woman is the most beautiful thing on earth. That is more beautiful than any sunset or flower or landscape. A woman is the most beautiful creature on earth. And so it would take it would take a literal work of God to change that about me. And I believe it could be done. But when I look at it just right now, yeah, man, if something happened to my wife, I'm going to get married again. Because I ain't going to burn. I would burn up, son. So I get it, dude. And I like the idea of being single too. You think about that idea of how would life be different?
Well, sure. You like not having to do anything.
Yeah. How you could be I could be so much more selfish if I was single, I could just, which that's the wrong way to think about being single anyways. You need to think about being single more in the context of if I was single, I could do so much more. In terms of what I've been called to do for my ministry, you know what I mean? But the human part of you, the sinful nature thinks, oh, I like this single life because I can do what I want to do, right? That leads to destruction too. But I get it, dude.
I don't know. I just keep going back to, I think it's odd to get married just for that. And I guess, I mean, it's like, why does being married just make that then an okay thing to do? If that's the whole reason that you're doing it, and then all of the other things that marriage is supposed to be just really goes out the window. I mean, I know you're saying, well, that shouldn't go out the window. Well, right, it shouldn't. But I mean, it's just like, what makes it okay then? I mean, why is that okay then when I got married? It's like, well, who gives a crap, man? Marriage is not that. It's a lot more than that. Does that just go by the wayside? I mean,
no.
Do you understand that question? Like what I'm saying?
Look, man, you just ain't got the sexual drive that me and this feller have. That's your problem. You've had low T since you was 17, man. That's why you can't understand this.
Well, I just
that's why it's so confusing to you, man.
I guess I got low T too, Chili. I seen the most beautiful thing this morning I've ever seen in my life. Coming to work, there was a hill onto the side where the sun was rising up, and there was old gobblers standing up there half strut.
Hey, look, man, low T can be a blessing.
Well, I'm just saying, I don't get, like, if that's all it is, then what are we? I mean, that's it.
That's not it. You don't.
But that's how you frame it.
No,
man.
that's what you don't understand, dude. I can't make you understand it.
You just related it to it's because I don't understand it because I have lower T than you. So clearly, that's all it is.
That's not the whole purpose of marriage.
But no. Not the whole purpose of marriage. The whole purpose of getting married for you.
That's the initial driver to say.
I mean, you're proving my point.
I don't. Okay, I'm not going to be a single person. I'm going to find a godly woman and I'm going to have a marriage.
Yeah.
There, look,
For
man,
what?
For what?
Yeah.
So I don't burn with passion, man.
So
That's the initial decision.
that's the initial. And then it grows from
and then
there.
it grows from
Then
there.
it just yeah, then
Exactly right, man.
it then it
Look, man,
blossoms
look,
from
a lot
that.
of
I'm gonna plant this seed so it don't spoil.
Yeah.
But then look, now it's a fruit tree.
Then it just blossoms from there and you start
Exactly.
caring about all these things. Yeah.
I'm sorry that some of y'all can't handle that. That's the reality. That's the reality for some men.
With like you
Sorry
with
that y'all can't handle that.
some men like you that are high T.
Yeah, man. And so
You must be taking that supplemental.
look, man, that's what. Look, you know what your other option is in this question. Your other option is to crucify your flesh and become completely selfless and put all that stuff out of you.
Seems like that's a good idea.
That's your other option.
What would be wrong with that?
You can't do you can't do it in and of your own free will.
Nonetheless,
Yeah. Yeah.
if it's an option, it's an option.
Chad can't do it. And that's why.
I can't do it. The Lord could do it. Yeah, he could. So that's my opinion on that.
Yeah. You get a little sideways.
Well, you guys, man, you guys just want to beat around the dang bush, man.
Well, Chili's point is, if you get married and sex is still the main thing,
It's
Then-
all this.
then there's still a problem. Like the act is well, okay, then you're married, yeah, the act's fine. But if that's all you're thinking about, then there's still something that has to die. But Chad's saying that when you get married, that allows you to work through that and kill it, and but you're not sinning against yourself until the point that you do. I mean, that's the way I see it.
Yeah, man. Y'all just want to beat around the stinking bush, man. Y'all are like a bunch of wetback turtles.
About
man.
what?
About everything. Y'all just want look. I'm just getting down to the truth about it, man. I can't help it. Y'all can't handle the truth about
I
it.
don't think nobody beat around the bush.
Yeah, y'all
At
both,
all.
But Cornbread, you and Chili both beat around the bush, man.
I disagree.
Look,
Well, yeah, I do too. I mean,
some men love women. Some men don't. The men that love women ought to get married.
Well, Chili's working on it.
Yeah, he's 3/4 of the way there.
So,
y'all are married.
you know, I don't even know how to shift from this conversation now. You guys have got me so daggone frazzled.
And why? That's all in your own mind.
No,
You-
man.
you've built up. We beat around the bush about something we ain't beat around the bush about.
Look, he's mad because you didn't agree with him and say, "Oh, you right, Chad."
Yeah, well, that's all it is.
Yeah, and
We
now
didn't agree with him.
you've challenged his thought, and he hadn't come to terms with that in his brain yet.
The head of that pen looks like it's glowing from that light. It looks like a vape. Chad's over there vaping.
I ain't vaping.
Put the camera on him.
Oh, it's on him.
Look at him. He's just gnawing in frustration, son.
He's anxious. Look at him.
When you get worried like that, you gotta get that vape.
Oh, he ain't worried. He's ticked. He's ticked
Over
about
there
something.
clenching his jaw, grinding his teeth.
Yeah, look at him.
You guys, man. All right. That was a good question. Thanks for that question, man.
Is that another Patreon question?
No, we just take one a week.
Oh,
Yeah. No, that was a good question. It's a good conversation. And you know what, man? I want y'all to understand on the 3 of 7 podcast. This is a lot of times on the 3 of 7 podcast, this is meant to be conversation. This is not necessarily something that we have sat down and done a study on, and we haven't.
well, it never is.
We're not. This is not like a resurrected meeting. This is not. If you're coming, if if you're coming and you want something that we have really studied out and prayed on and search scripture on, that's when we come on Resurrected. We come on the podcast and we have conversations. All right. So I want you guys to understand that, because there's a place for having conversation. I think it makes me think about, well, how do I understand this? And it makes me then take the conversations that we have during the podcast and go and seek more understanding about the subject if we don't come to some definitive conclusion on the podcast. So that's what you guys need to do. If there's something on here that makes you think, that's the point of conversation, is to get your freaking brain going and to start making you think about things, and maybe start pointing out some of the things that you might have thought you understood, but you don't really understand. And then you go find the answer to it. That's what these conversations are all about, for you guys that didn't know that. All right, CB, lead us into the bike ride. We'll see how you do.
Oh my gosh, I'm sure I will fail immensely in your eyes. So we gathered this Saturday.
No. You need to go back and talk about
that was going to be after my intro.
Okay.
Chill out. We gathered this Saturday as a team to do 100-mile bike ride.
Team -1.
Well, he was there. We'll get to that in the story. The team to do a bike ride that me and my youngest son being Cooney, came up with us for just me and him to do.
Mm-hmm.
I originally said in January, but it was actually about the middle of February. He talked to me about doing this ride, and he backed out of the ride early on in training. So I got my nephew G Money, which is sitting over here in the corner, 14 years old. He decided to do it with me. And then Chad wanted to do it. We moved it back a week so we could fit Chad, his schedule, into it. And then it just kept building and ended up with a total of 8 of us. 9. We had a guy from CrossFit join us for one section of the ride, and we did it this past Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you, first of all, why the 100 miles on the bike?
For me, well, like I said, Cooney wanted to do it. Cooney, my youngest son, seen me working out, and I'm sure he's seen me losing weight, talking about working out. So I think that motivated him to do it. And I said, okay, let's do it. You had talked about TNGA and some of the conversation here and there. Of course, you offered the bike to me to use. And I got on it. And at the time, we didn't even know the true distance of the Silver Comet and Chief Ladega.
Mm-hmm.
And I did the first 20-mile ride in it. I mean, it wrecked me. I decided the bike because I want to get down to 225 before I start running. Mm-hmm. So I figured that would be a lot less impact. And when that 20 miles wrecked me, I said, well, let's see what this is. And it turned out to be over 90 something miles. And I said, well, that's going to definitely be hard. So yeah, let's do it.
Well, I want to ask you too, when your son ended up backing out, did you waver at all? Did you have any moments where you thought, well, he ain't doing it no more? Like, why am I still going to do this?
No, I didn't. I didn't waver at all.
So why did you decide, I mean, to continue on even in the absence of, your partner that you were supposed to be doing it with?
Well, one reason I done told my team here at 3 of 7
mm-hmm.
that I was doing it. It never even crossed my mind that I won't. If I had to do it by myself, I was doing it.
Yeah.
That was a reason. And I still wanted to do that hard ride. Those 2 reasons there.
Yeah, man. It's just it is, man, it's so essential to be part of some sort of team in your personal life. It really is. And it doesn't have to be the guys that you work with or the girls that you work with, but you need to have some people in your life, and you guys need to basically have some sort of team structure or some sort of accountability to each other, right? Because it does, man. It will keep you driving, and it will give you a good reason to do the things that you say you're going to do and to stick with your commitments, essentially.
Right.
Yeah. So what did when you approached G about doing the ride, how did he react?
He immediately said, yeah. He said he would do it.
Really?
He's been on fire since before the race, the 307 race back in when we had it. He's been on fire since he had 2 or 3 weeks beforehand to train for it. He's been on fire. He said,
Dang.
yeah, and immediately started. At the time, Cooney wasn't even going to let him use his bike. So we had just a small mongoose or whatever that thing was in the yard. And I'd come home and G'd be 6 miles in the driveway, dude, just back and forth on that bike. Yeah, G didn't miss a beat.
Why is G so driven? What's driving him?
Well, he's got youth. I don't think the youth particularly is driving him.
No,
It's
definitely not.
It's
Yeah.
not.
Definitely not.
Yeah. Well, I know G looks up to me. So I would say some of that, but he also looks up to y'all too. I would say that's probably the majority of it. Is he's got some people he can look up to.
Mm.
Yeah. And G can only speak for what the race did to him. He did 12 miles
Mhm.
in a little under 4 hours. He can only speak to that. I know I seen it wreck his legs. So I don't know if there was something more after that he wanted and had no problem saying yeah to the ride. But yeah, I think the mentors that he has directly with him and the mentors that he's chosen to have.
Yeah, he's a special guy, man.
Yeah. I tell you what, that's a big first half of the year too. The 307 race,
Yeah.
one of the hardest loops in Georgia. Really, it is.
Yeah.
Hardest climbs. 12 miles on that, under 4 hours, 100-mile bike ride.
Yeah.
Pretty good start to the year.
Dang sure is. What was G's longest bike ride prior to this?
30 miles.
30 miles. What
Yeah.
was yours?
Just a touch over 40. Not really even enough over 40, but 40 miles.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice, man. Well, yeah, lead us into the ride, man. Take us through it.
So we strike out. It's on a Saturday morning, and we're going to start in Smyrna, Georgia.
Early as crap.
Early as crap. So Chad
Miserable.
and James and Blake, y'all all had to get up probably about 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
To make it to 5 o'clock at y'all's dad's house. And which means G woke me up at 10 till 4. I told G, I said, we're getting up at 4, G. And I'm laying there in bed and he jerked the door open. I thought somebody was trying to break in the house or it was on fire. He said, Uncle Brian. I said, yeah. Are you going to get up? 10 to 4. I said, yeah, G, I'm getting up. I mean, he was pumped. So we meet up at 5. We got about an hour and 20-minute ride. Wanted to be on the bikes and riding at 6:30. And I allotted time for you and Blake to take y'all's boo, which y'all didn't have to take y'all's morning booze.
Yeah, I didn't till
Yeah.
late in the day.
And
Sometimes when you get up real early, it throws it
Yeah,
off.
it throws you off.
that's right. And Chad showed up just like Chad and Chili Time, right at the time, right at 5 o'clock,
On the dot.
barking orders. I can't see to back this trailer up. Y'all gonna have to load quicker than this. You know how he is.
A wizard is never late. He arrives exactly when he needs to and wants to.
Well, it worked out. We head down to Smyrna, Georgia, which is sure enough Metro Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's sure enough Metro Atlanta. All the cars, all the people, all the red lights, all the things about a metropolis. And we was dead on the bikes at 6:29.
Really?
Yeah, at 6:29. When you was hollering for us to pass you because you was filming a video, it was 6:29.
Nice.
Yep. So we hit the trail and we strike out, headed west. Goal was going to be Anniston, Alabama. So at this time, we're headed toward Powder Springs.
Well, you struck out all right.
Yeah, you guys,
You and G.
G and Cornbread went out like hot, son.
Went out like James
I'm
Ward.
talking about didn't say nothing to nobody. Just disappeared, dude. I was like, dang, son, like so much for easing into this thing and getting, kind of warmed up. What was up with that,
But
man?
James was loving it.
No, they run off and left James. Yeah, it was me and Caitlin in the back, Blake and James in the middle, and Cornbread and G way out ahead of everybody.
So for some reason, I don't know why it was, in all of the 10, 12 training rides that I did, it would take 2 to 3, maybe even 4 miles for my quads would just start killing me, like at the beginning. And I told myself, I told G this the night before. I said, I'm not doing that in the morning. I said, I'm not going to play that catch up game. I'm just not. Man, I have played catch up all my life. Played catch up when we do our team PTs, coon hunting. I played catch up on the basic course. I said, I am not playing catch up today. I said, I'm getting to Harlem in an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And G said, all right, let's do it. And I told G, I said, G, you don't have to do it, but I'm doing it. He said, no, we're getting to Hiram in an hour. So that's why I took out so hot, is I had, and that was a selfish goal on this team ride, but I wanted to get to Hiram in an hour. And there was going to be no stops between there. And I knew y'all wasn't going to have any issues getting to Hiram.
What if I would have had a flat tire or something, man?
Well, like you said, you was with Caitlin. She would have fixed your tire for
She
you.
is a good bike mechanic.
Yeah. So we struck out, headed toward Powder Springs, and made it to Harlem right at 7:29 with a minute to spare. And then me and G started backing down a little bit.
Did you guys see that guy somewhere in Hiram? He was in full camo.
Yeah.
And he was strutting down the Silver Comet Trail, and he had a revolver, a big long revolver on his hip.
Me and G see him every time we train out there. He is out there on patrol every
No
day.
kidding, man.
And you can wave at him every time I've waved at him or said hey or what's up. He don't say nothing, son. He is a walking statue.
He was bowed up.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
He had on the Vietnam style camo.
Mm.
Oh yeah. He's old. I mean, he's old school Hiram.
That's right.
He's old school Hiram, son.
Yeah.
That was an interesting character.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then we stopped at that little bathroom facility right there.
Yeah,
right?
that's in Dallas. That's about the middle stretch of Dallas. So that was mile 20, 21, 22.
That was the first time we really took a stop altogether, though, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's Tara Drummond Trailhead. That's actually named after a police officer who was training in the academy. Blake probably knows the story, at North Central. And they were doing some drills with their pistols unloaded. And the instructor, somehow or another, his pistol become loaded during these drills and shot her under the arm.
Oh my gosh,
where
dude.
where the vest didn't cover. And tragically, she passed away there
Dang.
at the training academy.
Man.
So that's named after her.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was our first break. Yeah, and that was an intentional spot for Kat in case she had to use the toilet, the ladies' room. So that was the first
Well, I
break.
guarantee you, James took full advantage of that toilet.
He was in there making some racket, son.
That joker went in there and sat on that toilet. I bet he was in there for 10 minutes, and he just a steady stream of freaking farts. I don't even know that he ever crapped. It was just a steady stream of farts.
Well, you know how he is about farts. He won't let them out around nobody. He holds them all for the bowl like chili. That's just the kind of people they are.
Well, now, why do you think I do that?
Well, I've heard it.
You've heard it.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I don't even think there was a slight grade uphill in that first 20 miles. Do you?
No, I don't think they were.
Other than
no.
them bridge crossings.
Yeah, you're right. The bridge crossings. That's about
That's
it.
the Silver Comet
Yeah, Silver
at
Comet.
that point.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's all concrete there.
It was nice too how I thought that they were going to route that I thought that trail was going to be routed, especially right there in in the beginning, that it was going to be routed through town and like we were going to be paralleling main roads and sidewalks and stuff like that, but they keep it in the woods
Yeah,
pretty much the whole way. I mean, it was pretty even from the start. You felt like you were in the woods the whole time. You could kind of see neighborhoods and stuff at some places through there, but no, that was nice. It was not what I expected it to be for sure.
yeah, it was real nice.
Yeah.
I wanted to start that early in the morning because I knew it was going to be holiday weekend,
Hmm.
and I didn't want to be dodging, kids on training wheels and
Yeah, I definitely knew it was going to be a holiday too. So it was good that we did get started at that
Well,
hour.
he don't let much slide, does he?
no, he
I
don't.
mean, what
It was good that we started at that hour.
what a card he is. What a
Bad
card.
bum.
What a
You know
card.
what? One of my favorite things about this ride, and then we'll let Cornbread continue on with this story.
That'd be nice.
One of my favorite things about this ride was this was all pretty much new to me. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know where we were going to get, other than maybe like Coots Lake Store or Cedartown. I didn't know where we were going to get food or water. Or I know you'd done a little research, but one of my favorite things about bike packing, which this was not a true bike packing, but it was a long bike ride. One of my favorite things is just the adventure of it. Just trying to figure out, like, dang, I'm getting low on water. Like, I hope we find somewhere to get water soon. Or, hey, there's a little gas station or a little grocery store. Let's go in there and get some watermelon. That's one of my favorite parts about it. I don't
Right.
want to know everything.
Right.
I don't want to have it all planned out. And it was all new to me. I'd never really rode any of that Silver Comet Trail.
Yeah, I'd actually mentioned to you caching some stuff along the way, and you said, "No, man, don't do that. The fun part's figuring out where you're going to get it."
Yeah, we did the ride truly in a self-supported nature, a
Right.
self-supported way.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Well, was it still pretty easy for you there in Hiram? I mean, how were you feeling when pulling out of there?
I felt really good. I did take out hot, so my quads were burning just a little bit.
Mhm.
Once I stopped, it was gone. But I did take out. I even said I took out way too hot to get that done. But yeah, I felt really good.
And then we left that little store, and then we went through that section it goes through the Paulden Forest and stuff,
Yeah.
all the way to Coots Lake.
Yeah, that's about 16, 18 miles, and it primarily goes through the Paulden Forest Wildlife Management Area, all the way through the Brushy Mountain Trussel, the train trussel.
There wasn't hardly nobody on that section.
No,
man.
there wasn't. There wasn't hardly no, and that's where I think Darren picked us up a little bit before McPherson Road.
Mhm.
He was riding eastbound from Coots Lake Trailhead and met us.
Yeah.
And that was pretty cool that he come out there and rode with us. That's my favorite part of the trail, really.
That was my favorite part too,
is
probably.
that section there. You got just massive amounts of hardwoods, and what was so cool is where they're hitting hardwoods, they had just burned, so there was no underbrush. You could see hundreds of yards up into the woods.
It was just a little, and it was just a slight downhill grade too.
Yeah, slight downhill.
Man, you could cruise.
Yeah, that was. But now that was, I would say, 2 miles before the trussels when G started falling back some.
Dang, was it that early?
Yeah, it was that early. Yeah, when me and James got to Coots Lake, G was probably 2 minutes behind. Yeah.
Well,
Dang.
Kat got to hurting on that section too.
Did she?
Yeah. Yeah, I remember Chad pulled up next to me and he said, "Old Kat's gonna be hurting at the end of this thing." She was moving pretty slow. She
Yeah.
kept putting her feet up on that top tube and flaring her knees out, trying to stretch her hips. And
Yeah.
She thought she wasn't eating enough or drinking enough because she hadn't peed, and then she got to worrying about that. But then we had, like you said, it was pretty much downhill to all the way to Coots Lake right there.
Yeah. So it was roughly 8 miles, I believe, from where we first start to that train trestle. And that's when I started getting probably 2 miles before the train trestles when they started getting the lightning alerts saying lightning was 11 miles from us, and then 8 miles, and then 6 miles. I was beginning to think that we was going to have to stop at the trestle, according just to what my watch was telling me, how fast the storm was approaching. But it wasn't approaching nearly that fast.
Lightning alerts. How do you get those? I ain't never got a lightning alert in my life.
Through the app on my phone. It sends it to my watch.
It's a lightning app?
No, it's the WSB Severe Weather Team 2 app.
Dang.
Yeah.
It'll tell you when a storm's getting close to you.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, I don't like to know that kind of stuff. I just like to deal with the storm when it gets there.
Well, whether you know it or not, you're still dealing with it when it gets there.
He's so full of crap, dude. All you do is sit on the radar.
Lightning alert.
You just look at the map and just keep refreshing it.
You're just like Blake Cornbread. I bet Blake gets lightning alerts too.
Dang, I should have beat around the bush about my lightning alert.
Blake, do you get lightning alerts?
No, I don't. I do
Well-
have the weather app, but I don't get any alerts. I don't like them
Blake's
tracking
always
me.
looking at the weather, man.
I don't like them tracking me.
Every time we do a basic course or something, he's like, "Have you seen the weather up there?"
Well, that's just an exaggeration. It's not every time, but I do that sometimes.
Think about how.
But
think,
what would a story be without Chad's embellishments?
think about
Oh, it wouldn't be. Well, it wouldn't be a story.
Yeah, that's true.
Dude,
If you don't lie, it's not a story.
think
Yeah.
about how many hours of y'all's life you've wasted looking at the dang weather.
Look, did you ever once see me stop and look and say, "Whoa, hold on, my watch is going off, lightning alert"?
No, you just beat around the bush about it.
I was hammering, son, hammering. Whoa, lightning alert!
Y'all have wasted so much of your life checking the weather. All right, look, the weather's coming. Just be prepared for it. Like,
It's weather.
yeah,
Be prepared for it, and if
it's
you don't
coming.
know what's going to come, but be prepared for what's coming.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. That's the way I live my life.
You sure do go pull your old classic vehicles in the garage every time I tell you hail's coming. I'm gonna quit telling you you'll end up with a bunch of dents.
Oh boy.
You know, Chief Meteorologist Paul Barris, he always says there's dime-sized hail possibility.
Yeah.
how do you prepare for dime-size hail?
You pull your vehicles in.
There you
Put a
go.
rain jacket on, son. Oh yeah. By the way, how did we skip over the fact that URG didn't even have essential life-saving gear on the trail?
You talking about the rain jacket?
Yeah.
Well, we ain't got to the part where it rained yet, so we ain't skipped it.
Okay. Well, we arrive to the classic Coots Lake store. Let me tell you guys, y'all think that Buc-ee's is good? Y'all ain't never been to Coots Lake, obviously. All right. I grew up on Coots Lake store. If you ain't been to Coots Lake store, you ain't been nowhere.
They've got some of the best secondhand smoke you can get.
For real.
I'm talking about this place is a jewel, son. We pull up at Coots Lake. We go into this daggone store, man. And the lights are so bright in this store. It's painful to your brain to even stand in this place, dude. I don't know what kind of lights they have in there. It must be like some
Fluorescent.
super fluorescent
Yeah.
because it will blow your darn head off when you walk in there.
It wasn't even that bright.
Well,
And these people are smoking in the store, ain't they?
yeah, oh yeah. They were pretty bright, but it was intensified due to the fact that the shelves are always half bare.
Yeah.
The shelves, they ain't never full of nothing.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
just half. So you got that light beaming down and it's bouncing off the whoop-pow right back to your face.
Yeah, it is. It's like snow behind
You,
us.
you look down to to shield the light, and then it's pow right back off the
Yeah,
shelf
that's-
into your face.
That's corneal retinopathy.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like snow blindness going in there, dude.
yeah.
I like how this weaves in and out from Corn telling a story and then Chad adding his anecdotes. Just
So, what happened? We had a little hang up at Coots Lake, Corn. What happened?
I had to hit them. I had to hit them dang dangs, man.
Well, yeah. So a storm started rolling in. These guys, Blake and Cornbread, were freaking out about this storm. Oh, that boys getting the both of them. Pull that radar up. Let me see it. Oh, look at this. Oh, they were just showing it to everybody. Look at this storm. Look at this storm. It's coming in. So, you know, I'm like, well, Cornbread.
lightning alert.
Yeah, I'm like, Cornbread, make the call, man. This is your mission. He said, well, we're gonna just hunker down here at Coots Lake. We had a little overhang. You know, me and James, being experienced bike packers, we went ahead and laid down and was getting us some rest under that overhang. And I looked around and Cornbread was nowhere to be seen. And I get up and I'm like, where did Cornbread go? I walk into the store and he's sitting in there on the dang machine, gambling
His jaw was slack.
on his storm brake.
His jaw was slack.
He got the last seat in there. It's the only. We just talked about the lights in Coots Lake store. You walk, they have a little nook. It's like a cave in the back of that store, and it's dark in there. And I walked in there, and all the seats were full. And here's Cornbread on one of the big master monster machines. And dude, I came unglued on him. I said, buddy, we got to get back on the trail, man. You didn't come on this ride to sit in a gas station and freaking gamble. And he had just put a bunch of money in that machine. So you can imagine how mad he was. But I drug his daggone butt out of there. And he was arguing with me the whole way. I just put a bunch of money on this thing. I got a bunch of money on this thing. And them other freaking calls in there were looking at him like, dude, they were just hoping I drug him out where they could
Yeah.
jump in there on his machine.
Them other coals.
Yeah.
What'd they look like?
You couldn't see them. It was dark in there.
Oh,
They just
okay.
looked like shadow figures, like wraiths. It's like a bunch of little freaking golems sitting in there at these gas station machines, man.
Dude, it was classic. Chad said, we got to make a dang video. I said, all right. So he sends me into the belly of the beast, right? Just like he said, it's just a dark room.
Uh-huh.
You go in there and there's just eyes. They're looking you up and down. I sit down, start acting like I'm playing that machine, and
With his bike helmet still on.
Don't act like you're acting like you're playing.
Oh
it.
no, I was acting like
I know that wad of quarters you carry around.
Yeah, that dude was looking at me like, "What's this joker doing, man?" And Chad's right though. When he come in there and said, "Look, we got to go," I said, "Man, I still got a bunch of money on this machine, dude." They all say, "Whoosh," and they was just waiting for me to get up, dude. I mean, waiting for me. I was waiting on them to say, "Yeah, you need to get on your bike ride." Oh, it was classic.
So this big storm that and by the way, Corn gets back out off the machine and we're just waiting for this storm to come, which by the way, never comes. And we're just sitting out there. Me and James are looking at them like, well, if y'all want to sit here, we'll sit here. And Corn is so antsy. He cannot be still. He's just fidgeting with his hands, getting up, getting down, walking back and forth. As a matter of fact, Corn, you were so antsy there, I couldn't even rest. I didn't even get to use that time as rest because you were making me so nervous,
You
man.
couldn't rest because every time it would lightning, he would say, "Oh, that was air lightning."
Heat lightning.
That didn't hit the ground. That didn't hit the ground. That didn't stayed in the air. Did you see that?
If it didn't rain, it was heat lightning.
Oh, it was pouring down rain, son.
It was heat lightning.
Pouring down
Well,
rain.
that storm, it got right to us and then just fizzled out. So it didn't really end up being much to it.
It come up a cloud, son.
So,
I'm serious. It come
well,
up
I'll tell you
flat.
what. We'll see. I've got this all on video. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure he sat there the whole time. It was thunderstorming. Just
I've got it. I've got the whole thing on video. So y'all get to make the decision on who's right about the storm. It was definitely not a storm that would have kept a seasoned rider like me from being on the trail. But I sat
we
there,
weren't seasoned riders like you.
But you know, I sat there anyways with you guys. It was all right. So finally, Corn makes the decision. He builds up the courage to get back on the trail and get back to riding, which is what we all came there to do. We didn't come there to sit under the daggone overhang at Cooch Lake store while it's freaking sprinkling rain.
while it's still coming up a cloud, so he can now make his point because it was raining so hard and shun me and G for not having our life-saving gear that he put on
Oh yeah.
in the sprinkling rain.
Yeah. I ain't letting no sprinkles get on me. I told y'all, man, look, you don't ever go out onto a daggone mission like that without a rain jacket and a headlamp. And y'all didn't have either one.
I had a headlamp.
Well, okay. Well, G didn't have either one.
Well, you always say a puff jacket too, and I guarantee you didn't carry no puff jacket on this ride.
Well, most of the time a puff jacket, but not this time.
Mm.
Most of the
He
time.
didn't need one this time because he didn't have one.
right, that's
a
what I'm
rain
saying.
If he
jacket
would
and
have
a
had one, you'd have
headlamp.
needed it.
A rain jacket and a headlamp.
I mean, G went as far as to bring an entire can of what was that stuff he had?
Right guard.
Right Guard spray deodorant. He had the whole can. It was as big as that water bottle on Chili's desk right there. I mean, he had like the family size can of Right Guard deodorant,
Well, I like that.
but he didn't bring a headlamp.
Well, is seeing in the night more important than staying fresh?
I guess not when you're G.
I think not.
Not when you're
Stay
G,
fresh,
son.
I think not. Stay fresh.
So we finally got back on the trail and
It's important when you're riding.
take it from there, CB. Where were we headed?
We were headed toward, we was going to go through Rockmart first, but our main goal to stop for lunch was going to be Cedartown on that leg. So we was just going to fly through Rockmart, which was going to be 16 to 18 miles to Cedartown. Like I said, it was raining. I'm pretty sure when me and James stopped, I talked with G about his plan on eating. And we're pretty sure G was a little behind on his plan at that time. So he was supposed to have caught up during the big break. I'm not sure that he did.
How many miles in was this big break?
At Coots Lake,
Yeah.
36.
Okay.
36 miles, which we was way ahead of schedule. And then the storm put us back on what we anticipated being there. Strike out towards Cedartown. Now, me and G knew, and Blake and Kat knew of some hills that were going to be there. So I intentionally myself was trying to get G to hold back, and I was trying to save my legs. I wasn't going hot on this lap because I knew those big hills were going to be coming. It was raining. I think everybody got through the town of Rockmart fairly quick.
Except for two of us.
Yeah, except for when we come out of the town of Rockmart, the actual town part. And when me, you, James, and G made it to the top of the hill there on Highway 278, we got a phone call that Kat and Blake had wrecked out down in Nathan Dean Park.
So I am still to this day astounded how someone can wreck a mountain bike on a paved sidewalk, literally designated bicycle trail.
Blake tried to act like it was less stable.
I just can't figure out how somebody would wreck a bicycle on a paved trail. Can you explain that to us, Blake?
I just wrecked. I mean,
Well,
that's what happened.
well, walk us through it because I'm still trying to understand what happened, Bubba.
Yeah, we went into a turn and the bike was upright and then it wasn't.
Now you, now you both wrecked. You didn't hit each other.
Mm-mm.
You just both took the same turn.
Yeah.
And went
We were both upright, and then the next thing I know, we both weren't.
horizontal.
We were laying horizontal. Had to skin some elbows and knees and things. Handlebars went a bit crooked and straighten that out.
Got back to riding.
Yeah, I mean, we wrecked, then we didn't.
Ain't no big deal.
I mean, Chili is worse than you wrecking in the gravel driveway.
Okay, why does that always get brought up? I mean, do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember it.
We were racing, man. I left out of there. I was riding in your driveway 30 miles an hour on a mountain bike. Trek Z71 special.
Well, Blake's wreck was worse. Blake takes the cake on
Yeah.
wrecking on the.
You didn't even see it.
Well, no, I don't have to see it. I just know that you wrecked on a
Well, you do have to see it.
on a paved trail.
You do have to
I
see
did
it.
see
to say
G
that it
almost.
takes the
G
cake or
almost
not.
wrecked on that section.
Yeah. Same spot.
Same spot. What's up with it? Oil slick?
Banana peel.
It's like freaking Mario Kart, dude.
That's why I didn't do that ride, man. I've heard many seasoned riders try this ride and didn't finish.
I mean, I literally rode my bike across. I rode my bike across the entire state of Georgia on the worst mountain trails that could possibly exist, and didn't wreck my bike a single time. And Blake wrecks on
I
the
tell you,
Silver Comet
Oh,
Trail.
Chad, he's got some pride, don't he? I mean, he's flat
Man,
got
it's
that
terrible,
pride
man.
figured out.
Mm.
No, man, I'm just saying, it's just astounding.
Just
Tell
what
us about
happened.
it, man.
It really is. Well, then me and James, we just decided to ride it, our pace, and we were laughing the whole time because them heels. James said, "Boy, them heels is really gonna get them good, son."
Yeah.
Hey, there's some heels in there.
There's like two hills. They're like a quarter mile long.
Well, it's,
That's them like them Florida heels.
Yeah.
it starts rolling hills on 278 there. It's just a few. And I wanted to make sure I stayed with G on those sections of the roadway. The trail wasn't crossing the highway, but cars from the highway could cross the roads that the trails were from. And G is really good at looking to his left, but he don't look at nothing coming from the right.
Mhm.
And the highway is on the right hand side. I said, well, I'm going to stick with G to make sure he don't get smashed by 1994 Peterbilt
Mhm.
when we're crossing these roads here. So I stayed with him during that section until we got to the big hills that they call Mount Trashmore. It's right beside a landfill. And once we started up those hills, the first big one, G got about 5 good cranks and said nope, and hopped off his bike and
Bike hiking.
hopped off his bike. So I left him. And do you remember the section where you go downhill and it has a slow sign?
Oh yeah.
And you can get going too fast and shoot off that
And
trail.
Chad
yeah.
almost wrecked going down that.
Jen did?
Chad.
Oh,
No,
Chad.
he's
Yeah.
full of crap, dude.
Bad
he did.
bomb, son.
That's why he said, "Oh yeah," because
I've-
he went down a little
No,
fast.
I remember that spot because we had some members of our team that were wrecking their bikes out on a nice flat section in town, and so I thought
Yeah,
Oh,
he
man.
almost wrecked right there.
this ain't going to be good for them. Yeah, I remember that spot.
I've done that spot countless times and have never almost wrecked.
Me either.
And I'm inexperienced.
Yeah,
But I've seen a lot of good experienced riders not make that curve.
yeah. Well, one on our team almost didn't.
So when we got to that spot, and that's probably from the last big hill to that spot's probably roughly 1.5 miles, 2 miles.
Yeah.
So I waited for G there, which seemed like an eternity. And he don't know that I seen him at one point, but I seen him walking up to the top of one of those hills from right there. And I seen that he seen me, and I just looked the other way, and then he hopped back on his bike. It took up, just barely topped the hill and come down it. So I let G catch me there. And that was the last time I saw G till we got to the hood of Cedartown. And I called Blake I called you to see where you and James were. Y'all were already at the barbecue house. Blake told me his location. I called you too, didn't I, G? Maybe I didn't. And waited on G at the hood because I didn't want him to get kidnapped or whatnot, because it comes right into the hood of Cedar
Well,
Town.
that's where we passed the robbers.
Oh, yeah, the robbers. I forgot about the robbers.
Robbers on the trail.
Yeah, there was a.
Oh yeah, all them crazy. I think I saw them old freaking robbers just
No.
but they were walking when I saw them.
You
Okay.
you ain't aware enough. We brought it up and you was like, oh yeah, those guys are just fixing their bikes.
No,
and
no,
he
no,
didn't
no.
even suspect that they were up to
No, that
anything.
was
He's
another
not
guy I saw.
nearly as aware as what me and Corn are. We used to have to be
Yeah.
observers for a
Mhm.
living, and so he's not quite there yet, but we're getting him there.
So y'all saw some people that was up to no good. You think?
Yeah, there was one specifically that was on top of the last sure enough steep hill that you climb, and it's maybe a 80-yard climb,
Yeah.
but it's pretty steep. And he was on just right on the crest of it. And when I seen him, he had his bicycle upside down. And I said, "What's up, bud?" And he's like, "I just got to put some air in my tire." And at that point, I heard, I'm confident it was a person, but I didn't see a person to be, say, "Oh yeah, definitely." That was coming like through the brush right when I topped that hill. And I said, and I thought, man, that joker right there, there's something up with that joker. And I knew Blake and Cat were behind G, so I wasn't necessarily worried about G's safety. So but there was another one somewhere. I can't remember
It
where.
was before that one. And he was right where that house was that kind of faced the trail right after you cross the paved road.
That's right. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. But that one told G he was doing something completely different than what he told me.
Yeah. And it don't take that long to put no air in your tire.
So they
No.
were trail robbers.
Yeah, I believe what they was doing
Yeah.
was waiting for either a woman to top that hill and be out of breath, or somebody, puny to stop to give them some help for whatever, and it probably wasn't going to end up good.
Yeah, one of them tried to stop and talk to me. Is that, well, y'all coming from Smyrna?
He's puny.
And how far is that to here? And we just rolled on and quit talking
Yeah.
to him.
So
Yeah,
they just were fiddling with the bike.
Yeah, old junk bike. I
Bike
mean,
was
like
just a
something they
decoy.
just got from the Walmart dumpster. You know,
Yeah, you're gonna ride a Silver Comet trail. You're gonna put yourself at
But,
hazard.
but that section of the trail's real pretty too, with the rolling pastures.
Yeah.
Did you see the big Texas Longhorns?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Texas Longhorns. There's a little bit of marsh right through there.
Mhm.
not
Yeah.
for them sticky bandits.
Yeah, it's not very shaded, but we had that great overcast from that
Yeah.
big, humongous storm that had just rolled through.
Yeah, we was on the tail end of that.
Yeah,
So we finally came into Cedar Town, which, by the way, Cedar Town it's almost third world. It is borderline third world country.
and that's the county.
Town.
That's the county seat of Polk County, dude.
Waylon even sang a song about that.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, let me tell you, I probably Cedar Town didn't used to be that way a long time ago, I imagine. But you go into Cedar Town, man, and like in some of the spots, it's even got the same smell as a third world country. It's like it like burns your nose. And you look down like off the little bridges and overpasses, and all like the creeks are just like clogged with trash and garbage.
Oh, yeah.
Just nasty as crap, man. You know what's happening to all these little towns like Cedar Town? You know why they're going third world? Because all these stinking illegal immigrants, man. They're all immigrating from third world countries, and then they all congregate in an American town like Cedar Town, and they bring their freaking crap hole third world culture to the town, and they freaking destroy it, man. That's why crap is the way it is there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with that. You can look it up. Like the DNR writes so many tickets, and you know what they write them for? They seine those creeks.
Yeah.
They get in there with the nets and they seine them and devour all the fish species. And that Cedar Creek flows from a creek in Cave Spring, I can't remember it, that flows possibly at times has sturgeon in it. And you don't mess with a sturgeon,
Mhm.
son. They're federally protected. You know, the big sucker fish.
Yeah, you saying
prehistoric-
people are taking them?
I'm sure if they catch them, they do. I'm sure because they, you know, when you seine, you're taking everything in that whole one section. When you take that net and go from one edge to the other and wrap it all the way around, you get every fish that's in that section. Yeah, they seine them creeks, man.
Yeah.
They'll eat dang little fish that big.
I ain't saying that there ain't a bunch of daggone trashy freaking citizens too, like American citizens. But when you ride through Cedartown, it is chock full of illegal immigrants. And like they have set up businesses like tire shops and stuff, just out in open air, just like a third world country. They've brought their crap culture into these towns and they've just destroyed it, man. The whole freaking town is just destroyed.
It is.
It ticks me off, man.
It is. They don't have a lack of tar stores for sure.
No, I can't even believe the local authorities or the local government even freaking allows the crap hole businesses that they set up in town. They're just allowing these turds to just run the town down,
Polk
man.
County's a real poor county.
Yeah.
I mean, anybody that's more than willing to set up a business right there, I'm sure they just let them roll with it.
Obviously.
The only industry they have is whatever factories are left in Cedartown in the entire county, and then Rockmart has a rock quarry. That's all Polk County's got. Whatever factories are in Cedartown, then they have the old Goodyear plant. They make some type of bomb casings or fuel cells for airplanes or something in that old Goodyear factory. Cedartown has multiple factories. That's all they got, man.
Well, I was astounded by the nature of that town, but Lively's was good.
It was good.
The barbecue place was good.
It was real good.
Yeah.
It was real good. I got that big pork sandwich. Delicious.
Yeah, it was a good lunch. They had one of them rabbits in there mounted with antlers on it.
Jackalope.
Yeah.
Yeah, jackalope. You must have been in Alabama.
No, we were in Cedartown, Georgia.
They must have brought it over state lines. That's
Yeah.
a federal offense.
You know, when you walk in a restaurant that they got one of them things mounted in there, you came to the right spot.
Yeah. It's about to be good.
Yeah. All right, carry on, CB.
So yeah, we finish up lunch there at Lively's. That's where Brooke and Jennifer met us there in Cedartown.
Yeah.
So we was about to embark back out, headed toward Piedmont, Alabama. This was going to be the longest stretch without any stores, without any scheduled stopping to resupply. So this was going to be 26 to 28 miles.
It started getting hot too.
It did. As we approached Alabama, the trees backed off of the actual trail, off the Silver Comet Trail. And then once we hit the Alabama line, I noticed the trees went from predominantly hardwoods to pines. And the Chief Ladega Trail then turned into to asphalt. That's where we took a break, was at the Alabama line. So we hadn't yet reached our 28-mile store break to resupply our water, but we did take a break right there. That in that section right there, I noticed when Brooke and Jen met us, we had all sort of been riding somewhat. We were checking on each other constantly and knowing where each other was and whatnot, but we all started riding together more as a group.
Yeah.
In that section. I think that section after Cedartown is where G started really slowing down. I think he started gaining pain at that point. It wasn't just, okay, this is physically whooping my butt. I've got some pain with it now, even though he did say on those heels, his legs went numb.
Yeah, his legs went numb.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
So that's where G started slowing down. And that's where we started seeing all them electric bikers was at that.
Yeah. Are you coming out against those?
I'm totally against them. I'm out of it. And here's the main reason why. If you are able to walk on a WMA or the National Forest, if you are perfectly able to walk and you are hunting turkeys on an electric bike, as a good buddy of mine, Chad Wright, says, you are a turd.
Yeah.
If you are hunting turkeys on an electric bike,
What about as
walk your fat tail to that turkey.
what about on the Silver Comet, just out tooling?
I mean, tooling is tooling, but we talking about getting on gobblers.
Okay.
Yeah. Now tooling is tool, but I don't think you're backpacking on that electric bike. If you acting like you're putting in a big long trek on that
Yeah.
electric bike, you ain't doing nothing.
Yeah.
Put your grill up and go back to the house.
Yeah, just be courteous how you pass too, because
Yeah.
they're gonna get you.
Yeah.
You go to passing wrong.
Oh, there, that Darren from the bike shop, when we was riding, there was a guy that come up on the outside of him, and he didn't cut that joker no slack, son. He said, "Hey, bud, all you got to do is say you coming around us, and we'll move out of your way." I said, "Whoa, Darren." He didn't cut him no slack, man.
Well, Darren's a dyed-in-the-wool biker, man.
I'm telling you, he didn't cut him no
yeah,
slack.
he is a dyed-in-the-wool
Yeah.
bicyclist.
Well, Kat said that one of those electric bikers, she was on the left side,
We like that.
I guess riding beside you or Chad or maybe even G, and one of them was coming toward her and he hollered at her to move over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's talking
Them electric bikers got
I can't
attitude.
stand them. I can't
got-
stand them.
They got attitudes. I'm against them.
Anybody out there that's riding an electric bike, you just need to go bury your freaking head in the sand, dude.
Dad, bum, don't beat around the bush, dude. Tell us
Look.
how you feel.
I'm sick of these electric bikes, man. I'm sick of it. It's just accommodating people's freaking fat. That's all it is.
Like pickleball.
Yeah. We're dumbing everything down. We've dumbed tennis down into pickleball to accommodate you fats that can't play tennis. We're dumbing cycling down into now electric cycling to accommodate your freaking fat. Why don't you unfat yourself and get a regular daggone bicycle that's been around for decades and decades instead of taking the easy route and going and get you stinking electric bike, man? I hate electric bikes. I hate them stinking bikes that you sit down in too.
Recumbent?
Yeah,
No, I like a recumbent bike.
I'm coming out against those too. If you want to ride a bicycle, you're going to sit your stinking butt on a bicycle seat, man.
No.
Sitting down like a lazy fat. No. Coming out against both of those things. So
I'm coming out against electric bikes. I'm okay with the recumbent.
What about the recumbent e-bike?
They do have them.
Oh, I know.
They do have them.
I know.
I'm coming out against chiropractors.
That's voodoo, yeah.
Well,
But y'all go on about your bikes. I like a recumbent bike anyway.
We break air at the Alabama line. The trail turns from concrete to asphalt. We get a little break. We check on G Money. That's where G starts acting a little weird. Starts talking a little aggressive. You know, that's
talking
where
about killing dogs and stuff.
he wasn't to that point
Okay.
yet, but he was.
That's when you start riding well.
Yeah.
When you get in the mood to kill a dog,
Yeah.
you start hammering down.
So we take off, and that's where we hit the pack together, where we all rode in a pack for about 5 to 6 miles. And that, man, we was moving really good.
Yeah.
We was moving really good there. That felt really good too. It was awesome. Everybody, you know, having group conversations and then separate conversations. And once we broke pack, I guess because G couldn't draft anymore, he started falling way behind,
Mm-hmm.
like way behind. And that's Chad rolled up on the trail side snack shop,
That's when we came to the snack shack.
the snack shack.
Yep.
And
That was where G started laying down in the trail.
He
wasn't it?
laid down slap in the middle of the trail on his back.
Yep.
Just laid.
It lost all self-respect.
Yeah.
Did you take your shirt off?
He had
There
it.
ain't nothing like taking your shirt off after a cool rain in the summer and laying your back on that wet concrete.
Well, I'm glad you said that too, because once we got to the Alabama line is when the sun started.
Oh, it feels good.
And of course, those nasty Alabama pine trees that ain't worth $1 are all on the side of the trail.
Mm.
So they ain't hardly now shade going up through yonder.
Well, you remember G was wanting to take his helmet off at that point.
Yeah, he had his running hat on under his helmet. And I said, son, why don't you take your running hat off, help cool you off a little bit? He said, I'm just going to take the whole helmet and everything off and ride like that. And I done learned and seen he's very, Chad talks about me on the brakes. Now, G's got the brake game
He'll
down.
lock
son.
it down.
I mean, he'll just be going full steam and then just lock it down.
Mm-hmm.
Just lock it
Run
down.
off in the ditch.
I think a lot of times that's why he would have problems even drafting, keeping up, was he just sporadic. He'd hit the brake really hard and he'd have to pedal a little bit harder to catch up to the person in front of him.
It's odd in that line, ain't it?
Yeah.
Putting your tire right behind,
Yeah.
putting your front tire right on someone's rear tire.
Yeah.
It's sketchy.
Yeah. I got to where I really enjoyed it though.
Yeah.
Makes a big difference.
But so, like I said, when Jen and Brooke got there, we all started, riding together more as a group. The dynamic of the whole ride changed for me. We stopped at the Trailside Shack, and that place was pretty interesting. A, it was closed.
Yeah.
But
I don't
B,
think it's
what
been
was
open
like-
for a while.
Look, yeah, one of the prices on there was like 85 cents for a vitamin water.
Everything they had a massive menu on a board out there, and everything on the menu was between 25 cents and 85 cents. Slim Jims, vitamin waters, they had all kinds of stuff on there,
Yeah.
Stepping back to the 60s.
from 25 cents to 85 cents.
Yeah.
Dude, Alabama is like going back in time. I've told y'all that before. It's wild, but like you said, Cornbread, because I think I mentioned that, and you were like, "Yeah, man, there's just no economy here,
Yeah,
like
in that
in these parts of Alabama," and that's true. But if you would notice, all them houses back there there were a couple houses back there lined up behind that little snack shack. Every one of them had a garden out in front of their house.
Yeah.
Every one of them.
Yeah, they did.
So the lack of economy or the lack of job opportunities at least in that little scenario, the picture is that it was actually driving like self-sufficiency. Because I thought that was interesting, man.
Right.
So if you got a garden, you basically broke and you ain't got no money and you're having to grow. What about the people that you've got a garden?
Y'all don't know nothing,
That's
man.
pure speculation, man.
I
Y'all
mean,
just-
you are saying some awful bold claims off of a
He is.
sample
He's
si-
acting like he knows. There was two
That-
houses
off
there.
of a sample size.
that's because I know stuff, man.
Well, if you notice, it's really driving the self-sufficiency.
I'll
He
tell you
act like he
what.
had collected evidence on that for years.
If you ride through Alabama,
I would-
everybody's got a
and that's
garden.
interesting to me.
Yeah.
I always wondered,
Well, I'll tell you what,
are
man.
these folks carnivorous?
Wow. Holy smokes.
Y'all don't freaking know nothing, man. Yeah, I like that snack shack. That was just an observation that I made there.
Yeah.
It was nice to see those old prices too,
Yeah. And I think everybody's attention, because G had fallen back so much at the hills and then all the way up to that point at the last two stops, everybody was sort of thinking, all right, what is G going to need? James noticed his seat needed to be adjusted a little bit.
Mhm.
I think him and Blake worked on his seat, got his seat back situated. Jen gave him cocoa beans?
Coffee beans.
Yeah.
Well, Jen gave him some coffee beans. I gave him some Lara bars.
Yeah. And Chad said, next time we stop, we got to get him some a Coke. And Chad explained to me the sugar deal.
Rocket fuel.
And at that, probably 20 or 30 miles, which is probably the biggest lesson for me, I'll talk about it at the end, for the whole ride, comes from being with G and doing the ride with G. I could tell, me and G had a talk on the ride home, so I do know some of this is correct, but I intentionally started staying away from G and would only help him do a systems check when we was all together.
Mhm.
because of who I am to G. He's 14 years old. I am responsible for his health and well-being while we're out there. I didn't want G to say, hey, when we're together, because who I am to him, I can't go no further. And I could tell sometimes when he was looking at me that thought might be in his head.
Mhm.
So I would intentionally stay up front and just, maybe go back and forth a little bit just to system check him to see if that is even an option. But I said, all right, if he can say it or whatever around everybody, then we'll talk about it. But I'm not going to give him the chance to say it to me, because I'm thinking in my head, if he says this to me, I'm going to have to make the decision, not as, hey, I'm going to have to make the decision as his uncle.
Yeah.
Like, okay, if you say you can't go no farther, where is the line of me saying, oh, yes, you can? And hey, really and truthfully, he can't. Because let's be clear, it was a great advantage to me to have all y'all experienced people that's done really hard things out there. So I was leaning on
Talking about
y'all.
me mainly, right?
Yeah. To lean on y'all's observations of, I figured I was going to be wrecked at this point. You know what I mean? So I was looking at it in that selfish way of that, but I was also going to use it as an asset for G2
Mhm.
and everybody. Oh man, this is great. I've got some experience out here on this ride to be able to tell these signs if they do
Yeah.
arise.
Yeah.
So we head on to Piedmont from the snack shack, and I think G learned a good lesson riding in that pack that, hey, it was going to be really valuable for him to draft with somebody. So if he couldn't draft with the front group, he told me on the ride home that he relied a lot on Blake and James. If he couldn't stay up at the front with me, you and Brooke, that he would, draft with James and Blake. And he was really appreciative of that whole section.
Yeah.
And we start coming in. Did you notice in that whole section though, from there all the way to the end, just all the dang chicken crap you smelled the entire time, using it as fertilizer and the
Mhm.
amount of chicken houses? Man,
Yeah.
it was just constant chicken crap. But we get coming into
It's all them pores with gardens,
yeah, we get to
fertilizing
coming,
their garden.
and I
Self-sufficient.
at that point too, I was going to have me some water quick too, because I was running low. Like I said, that was the longest section without a store. And we come up into town, and I seen a building, and I heard some racket over there, and I don't know why I thought this. I thought, man, they making caskets or something in that dang building. Chad's like, look at that old grocery store right there. You can't even see nothing on the back. And as we come up beside it, we decided to see if it was a grocery store to make that our stop. We crossed the road there. You could hear all the coolers running right there.
Cooling them bodies.
Yeah, it was cooling that
Making
milk.
caskets.
That milk. I don't know why I thought that.
What the crap,
Well,
corn?
that's a reasonable thought. That's what
Yeah.
anybody thinks.
All them
Pass it
pores.
out.
That's where
Yeah.
the casket houses are in the
That
pores.
is true. There's a lot of people there dying from starvation around Piedmont.
Yeah, because they can't grow no gardens.
Yeah.
So what was the name of that? WM
Look,
Food
man,
Mart or something?
Alabama
Can't
ain't.
afford a 35-cent Slim Jim.
Yeah. Look, man, Alabama ain't got a single name brand grocery store in the daggone state. You ain't gonna find a Kroger, a Publix.
They got the pig.
Look, man. Yeah, every daggone grocery store in Alabama is like the Triple C or the four-way grocery. Or
Have you seen that big one in North Alabama called Big Johnson's?
No, I haven't.
What's wrong, man? Have you been in Big Johnson's?
No, I haven't.
I heard they got the best meat in North Alabama.
Holy smoke.
Get that custom cut ribeye.
Look, I'm not joking.
I-
Big
not either.
Johnson's, man.
yeah, I don't even remember what it was called. I got it on video.
So we roll up to WM Supermart or whatever in the world it was, Willie P's Speed Shop.
Yeah.
And we get G a Coca-Cola, and everybody else gets water and whatever they need. And this is when I could tell, all right, G is sure enough wrecked, because on a trail or hunting, whether we're hiking, biking, if we're hunting, G is a trash goblin. He will lift wood up to look for trash. Like he picks all the trash up in the woods. He will come out with boxes, pieces of tires. He is a trash goblin. But when he was sitting on that curb in front of that grocery store and the bag that he had his water in or his Coca-Cola
Mhm.
started rolling across the parking lot, he didn't even make a move. He did not care if that trash blew all the way to Montana, son. And I said right there, G is burnt. He is burnt, son.
Yeah, I got me some watermelon in there.
Yeah.
I like watermelon.
Well, I liked when, I kept telling G, quit being dramatic. We all started telling him. We went to leave there and he said, I'm about to show y'all dramatic when I bust you off this trail.
Oh, yeah.
And he tore out of there about 100 yards. He expended all the energy he gained from that Coke on that 100 yards.
He did, didn't he? He did. But it did. He drunk that Coke and somebody gave him a jail.
Yeah, I give him some spring. I think, the spring gel, the green.
Yeah. Now, at this point, it was sure enough sun on the trail. Like there wasn't now shade at all. It was all sun.
You can't beat Coke.
Yeah.
can't beat
I drank
Coca-Cola.
a Coke and I just wanted to see what Chad was talking about,
It'll get you going.
So I drank 3/4 of a Coke.
Were you getting down bad?
No, I wasn't.
Mm.
No,
Well,
I wasn't getting down.
Another thing about Alabama, I noticed in that store, even their computers, like their registers and stuff, they're all from the 90s.
Yeah.
They even their computers are old. Their technology is like all from the 90s.
And if you hand them cash, they don't fumble like a blithering idiot either, though.
Yeah. Yeah, they're used
Yeah.
to handling cash.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was about 3 people in that grocery store, and I stood at one register for probably 8 to 10 minutes because their computer was messed up because they're using 90s computers in Alabama.
Their floppy disk got scratched.
Yeah.
Dells.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty wild, man. But that's the whole state. I mean, the whole state's like that.
Like that RCA TV in Chevelle's.
Yeah.
Old.
Old
Even
stock.
he's old.
So at that point, we was at mile 70, 75 to 77.
It's about when you
And we said, all right, this is the last resupply here. Maybe we'll take some breaks here and there, but this is the definite last resupply. So everybody got supplied back up. G got his Coke. And this is where G really started talking crazy, that crazy stuff. Now, he said he was going to bust us all off the trail. I still
Yeah.
don't understand what that meant or why
Started hating on us.
he was going to bust us off the trail. We took off, like Blake said, and G come out super hot.
Yep.
Super hot. And that didn't last long, 50, 60 yards, and he backed off. But he did ride a lot better.
Oh yeah.
He was drafting good. He stayed up at front. He stayed up and talked with Brooke for a really long time in the front.
Yeah, he started riding a lot more consistent.
Yeah, and he held that for about what, 8 miles? 8 miles or so. So our next town we were going to come through was going to be Jacksonville. And the ride was going to go specifically through Jacksonville State University there in Alabama. And all the trees were on the opposite side of where the sun was. So, I mean, the sun was just continuing to beat down on us. We started having a lot more road crossings. Did you notice that?
Mm-hmm.
On that section headed into Jacksonville?
Yeah, G almost got banned from being in front because he couldn't look across the road.
Yeah, because he didn't look to his right. I mean, I think if we hadn't hollered, it would have been close. Maybe he would have got hit.
We actually did ban him, but we didn't enforce it.
Yeah. I mean, he come hot up to an intersection and never even paid no mind. Here was coming a car. Here was coming. And that's one thing I found interesting too. We dealt with way more cars in Alabama than we did at all in Georgia. In Powder Springs, Harlem combined.
Well, it was later in the day.
I agree.
Yeah.
So G's doing a lot better. He's talking a lot more. This is when I hear him tell Brooke, when I get older, I'm going to do this right again, but I'm coming back with guns. And Brooks said, why? He said, because I'm going to kill every dog out here. And Brooks was like, oh my God, don't talk about killing dogs with me. What are you talking about? Well,
He was getting upset, man.
right before that first trailhead, you know, he had a dog run out in front of him, about caused him to wreck. That somebody was walking. I don't know if
Probably.
I don't know if he'd been thinking about that all day or what.
Ticks me off.
But he said that, and then he was talking about slapping people
Yeah.
that was walking on the trail. I mean, I don't know if it was that coke or what was going on.
Are you all right, man?
Starting to tick me off.
I mean, Corn's trying to tell his dang story.
So we're heading into Jacksonville University at this point, and there's concrete barriers around the trail when we're approaching into the university, and there's a roundabout. The trail goes in a roundabout.
This is the Ladaga now.
Yeah, Chief
Chief
Ladaga.
Okay.
And me, Chad, Brooke, and G make it through that roundabout. We stopped to take a break to let everyone else catch up. I didn't see the wreck. Did you see the
No,
wreck?
I didn't see it. I just heard it.
G, you saw the wreck, and you was back there with her. And you can tell the
Well, I
story of
seen
what
it when
happened.
I wasn't with him. I was with y'all.
Oh yeah,
that-
he was.
was
Blake
you-
was with us.
no, that's where I put all that salty britches on.
Yeah,
was
Blake
you up
was-
there?
yeah.
Okay, my bad. All right.
Hallucinating, man.
No, I wasn't hallucinating.
Yeah, because this is the point where cornbread starts to fall apart.
Oh man,
At Jacksonville State University, he starts to fall
that's long
apart.
snapping you.
He's just choosing to do things that are inappropriate to do out in the open on a college campus.
Whoa.
Holy
right.
smokes.
It's just starting to his self-respect's just starting to go down the drain.
Yeah.
And we're standing there watching CB, reach all down his britches just out in the middle of an open college campus. I'm sitting here thinking that any minute a cop's going to pull up. We're
What are
going
you
to get
doodling?
arrested and trying because he, I guess he's chafing. His nipples are all chafed up.
No,
his
that wasn't nipples yet.
his daggone groin's all chafed up. He's just acting a fool over there. And then we hear some screaming back up the trail, and we look up, and there's somebody laying on the ground. And there was our third wreck for the day. Jen's coming through out of that roundabout, coming through two of them little concrete pillars. You got to, this daggone 4 feet of space in between them. She just runs her dang foot right into one of them and peels her dang toenail off, falls out on the ground, screaming and rolling, writhing around on the ground. Good night.
I ain't never heard many people wreck on the road.
Who am I out here with? I'm just sitting here thinking, who have I come out here with? Running into a concrete pillar. And Cornbread's over here standing under an oak tree in the middle of a college campus, fondling himself. Who the crap have I come out here with? You know what? When all that happened, I started just to ride off. I got it all on video. That started just to ride off from y'all, man.
At that point, when Jen had her wreck, that was the point. My hands just said, we ain't working. G was having to squeeze the salty britches for me to put it in. I couldn't even squeeze the tube
Golly, ain't that wild?
of salty britches. They were just so weak. They would
Yeah.
still move into that
just Had
position.
no strength.
But yeah, Jen wrecked, and I had to apply another lather.
Wait, hold on. What? G squeeze it into your hands.
Corn went
Yeah.
front.
Salty
Hey,
britches.
Okay.
Corn was going front to back with that salty britches.
I'm telling you, it was bad, man.
He didn't apply it. He just applied it to your hands.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
right. That's right. He asked me if he could apply it. He didn't even say, "Do you want me to?" He said, "Will you allow me to?" And I said, "Well, how sure mighty no. Back away from me, son."
And we wonder why Cornbread was starting to chafe at this point. He shows up with a gel pad on his bike seat that's as thick as that Bible
That's a
right
good
there.
idea.
I mean, he might as well just took the pillow off of his bed and just duct taped it to his daggone seat.
I wasn't necessarily chafing. I could tell that some hot spots were starting to arise.
Mhm.
So I was just reapplying. I was just reapplying.
Look, man, no experienced cyclist put a gel pad on their seat, CB.
I've been riding that gel pad the last 3 rides.
I tried to tell you that was a bad idea, dude. You didn't listen to me.
I even changed my this is how in tune I was with my saddle. I even had my sit bone measured at the bike store before the ride and even changed my saddle.
And then you
your
strap
ischiums.
and then you strapped a massive gel pad to it, and then all that just went out the window.
The main reason for that was if I didn't like that saddle, I was going to take it back. And because I'm respectful to other consumers, I wasn't going to take it back with my butt sweat all over it.
Well, how do
So-
you know you even like it with the gel pad, this massive gel pillow that you put over top of it?
Well,
You got to get rid of that, Cornbread. You're not riding with me on if we go down and do a bike race or something. You are not riding with me with that freaking gel pad on your seat, dude.
I might get a blue one, a blue gel pad. That'd set the old bareness off, wouldn't it?
That I mean, that's the number one sign of a freaking amateur cyclist is they have a gel pad on their seat.
That thing's nice.
All right, so that's going away, Bubba.
So we strike out of Jacksonville State. Jen wrapped her toe up. We're good to go. This is the tail end. We got to go through Weaver, and no more than we get into Weaver good, we're going to hit Anniston, and it's going to be over. So at this point, we got, I think James said 5 or 6 miles to the end. And so we strike out. Now, beforehand, G had started this thing where his shorts were bothering him.
Oh yeah,
And he would just stop. And I'd say, what's wrong? Or somebody would ask
he
him.
just run off the trail.
Yeah, on that last leg, that last 5 miles, we're going down through there, and he just locks it down in the midst of everyone and runs off in a ditch. And everybody's like, what's wrong? He's like, I got to fix my shorts. Now, he done come up with that when he wanted to stop and take a break. He was going to say, I got to fix my shorts.
Mm.
And that's what
Okay.
it was.
He had pedaled one too many cranks, and he said, "This is enough."
Yeah,
I'm
I noticed.
bailing."
I noticed them shorts started getting wadded up a lot more frequently than
Yeah.
they had, prior in the day.
Yeah. And
Yeah, that
every time
last
he'd
little
do it, I'd
section.
ask him, do you got underwear on? He'd say, yeah, every time. So he locked it up with probably 3 miles to go to fix his underwear. And we all just kept riding. I take that back. That we stopped to let them catch up one more time. And that's where I had to get G to give me some salty britches to put on my nipples.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next loop was about 3 miles. And G locked it up again to fix his shorts again.
Dragging it out.
Knew
Being
the end was there.
Yeah, just dragging it out.
Yeah. And
You're
so,
trying to get to 100 at this point.
yeah. So we knew that we were going to have to go to the end, turn around, come back, and then go back to be able to make 100 miles. So we made it there at the end there in Anniston. Wasn't nothing really eventful there. Weaver is even more podunk than Piedmont. They probably don't even have a gas station. You probably buy your groceries at the convenience store
Yep.
there. We turned around, come back, headed back. Now, one small mishap, headed back to get the last mile and a half. That dang drop seat dropped down on me about 5 times. And I thought there for a second I was going to have to ride the rest of the ride standing up. But finally it locked in place. Don't know why that happened. I did a small bike ride the day after. Just
Well, I'll
5
tell you
miles.
why it don't happen. I'll tell you why it happened. You don't maintenance your stinking bike, man.
That bike,
You don't
the
maintenance your
bareness
bike.
is crisp, son. Crisp.
Look, man. Corn came around with me the other day. His doggone bike was squeaking like Tin Man, just making the terriblest racket. I said, when's the last time? Cornbread had that daggone bike for 6 months. I said, when's the last time you oiled that chain? He said, I ain't never oiled it. Look, man, you got to maintenance your stuff, Cornbread. I know you don't change the oil in your cars, but you got to maintenance your bicycle, man.
I'm the type of person, dude, that fixes it when it breaks. I've always been that way.
Roger that.
When it breaks, I fix it. Good to go.
Now, look, G, you got to sit still over there, Bubba.
I told you he was going to
Look.
get you. I told you, did I not?
You're going to get banned out of here, man.
Got
You,
him.
you ought to feel special for even being in here right now, listening to all this.
Got him.
You ought to be in there folding shirts right now, G.
I mean, you are something else.
So we get to the end. James is there, y'all's daddy, waiting to pick us up in the trailer. She's done. She's over with the ride part, anyhow. Actual ride time turned out to be 8 hours, 32 minutes, and actual time with the brakes was 12 hours.
Yeah, it was a good day. It was a good day on the bike.
Yeah.
You finally made a decision on where to eat driving home. You know that. I mean, what the crap, Cornbread?
Well, look,
Look.
I figured y'all would give your daddy some respect. You had did
It
half,
was your decision, Cornbread.
you had did half a podcast on how you hated the Top of the River restaurant. The half of the podcast, I figured y'all would give your daddy some respect. He wanted to eat at Top of the River, and y'all say, Daddy, let's go to the Top of the River.
It was your call, not mine.
No. I'm not getting in the midst of children's and their fathers. That ain't happening.
No, it was your.
Uh-uh.
Everyone knew. All you had to
Chili,
say.
was that not the right decision not to get in the middle of that?
Well, yeah, but I would
Thank
have
you,
went to
Chili.
Top of the River.
Thank you, Chili.
All Cornbread had to say was go to Top of the River.
That's what I would have said. I said, let's go get that catfish. man."
But he beat around the bush
But
like
yeah,
he's
no,
like
you
he.
shouldn't have got in between them. No,
Yeah.
that's for them.
thank you.
That's for them
I
to have.
I didn't put any
Thank
input in.
Look, man, you just need to look at your dad, not get Cornbread to do it for you, and tell him go into
It wasn't my call.
Going to Top of the River is a pipe dream. We're letting Corn decide.
Well, yeah.
And why can't you look at him and say that?
I
man?
just decided not to say anything.
well, that's when. Well, there you go. You just clam up like that.
Well, he finally made a decision to eat at what was that steakhouse called?
Calhoun's.
That's
Calhoun
right, Blake.
Steakhouse.
You crouch in stagnant fear.
It's pretty good. Calhoun Steakhouse
was.
is pretty good.
It was good.
Where Blake worked.
It was
And then
good.
the ride back from Calhoun's was one of my favorite parts of the day. Me and Blake were synced up on our farts. And James Ward hates farts because, like Blake said, he only farts on the toilet. And so we're all
And Jen even more so than him.
we're all jammed up in this Suburban, and I would fart first because I'm the firstborn and stink the mess out of them. And somehow I was farting and it was going forward. I don't know how I was doing that, but I was farting and the whole power of the fart would go forward because I was in the very back of the Suburban. And so it would hit them fresh. They would get really upset, roll the window down. And then about the time they got the window rolled up, then Blake would fart. And we did that so many times on the way home, and it was just excellent.
It was rough. It was rough. G didn't get none of it because he's back there asleep.
Yeah.
He was in the
Well,
cargo
yeah.
area.
He was behind us, so he wouldn't have got none of it. Them were forward facing farts. So that was one of my favorite parts of the day,
Yeah.
getting to fart on them.
F cubed.
Well, CB, thank you for taking us along that journey, man. Good on you, man, for setting a goal, for training for it, for sticking with it, and then going out there and executing and accomplishing it. I mean, that's a big
Yeah,
deal.
for real.
I mean, that's your biggest endeavor that you've done so far. I think. I mean, 12 hours on the bike.
Oh, absolutely.
That's no joke, man. That's a long day.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So I'm super proud of you, man, and I'm glad that I'm glad I was able to do it with you. I
Yeah.
really am.
Me too. Me too. Absolutely.
That was a good day.
Well, what else is awesome too is you talked about this morning not being as wrecked as you expected
Yeah.
to be.
Yeah.
Well, that I mean, you need to be commended, man, for how you train for this. Like you talk
Yeah, he
about.
trained right.
Yeah. I mean, that's why.
Yeah.
It ain't like anybody listening to that. Don't think you can go do a 100-mile ride or go ride for 12 hours or do whatever you think you want to do, can do. No. First of all, you probably won't finish it. And second of all, if you do, or if you get halfway there, you're going to be wrecked. Corn, it went the way it did, and he's able to train right after it because of how he prepared and trained himself leading up to it. So don't get that twisted.
Yeah. And then CB was back in the gym Monday. We
Yep.
did Murph together on Monday.
Yep.
Now that was a little mental battle for you, wasn't it?
It was, absolutely. So I had expected to be wrecked, especially the Sunday after the ride,
I was tired that Sunday.
and more than likely Monday.
Yeah.
The only pain I had during the ride was around mile 80. The inside of my right thigh started cramping. That lasted about 5 miles. And then about mile 85 to about 90, my shoulders and elbows felt like they were going to explode. When the ride stopped, dude, my legs, that was the odd thing. Like only that thigh pain, that 5 miles. but
James
when
will pull that on you sometimes too. That fake inside of the thigh cramp. He's pulled that on me before on
Has he?
TNGA. Yeah.
As- When the ride stopped, my legs felt like concrete. And I just thought that was really weird that I didn't experience no other leg pain at all until it was done.
Mm-hmm.
It just, I mean, it hit like a rock. That night, Blake opened my eyes to what had been going on. That night, I finally could fall asleep about 11:30. I was pretty amped up telling my 2 boys about it. And I got cleaned up and I laid in the bed, dude, and I run a fever for like 20 minutes. And I thought, Dad, bum, I got a toothache or a tooth infection or a gum infection coming up. You know, that's what us hillbillies think. If you got a fever out of nowhere, your teeth's messed up. And I was talking to Blake the next day, and
Well, good health starts with your teeth.
he said, you know, sometimes after I run those races, I run a fever for a little while. And that had to be what it was. Because
You mean Blake said that one time I ran a race, I had a fever for a while?
no, he said sometimes.
Yeah, it's happened twice.
So I got up Sunday morning and there wasn't nothing wrong with me. My hands,
Yeah.
my pinky finger and my ring fingers, totally numb. They still are. And my hands are extremely weak, extremely weak. But no leg pain, no shoulder pain, no back, no elbows. Fine, Sunday. I said, all right. Well, I come in Monday. We're extremely busy here. So I just come straight here because that's what I had already planned.
Yep.
Like even way back when I planned to do the ride, that next Monday I won't be doing nothing. I'll be wrecked.
Yep.
And it was pouring down rain. So I was like, dude, there ain't nothing wrong with you. I done looked at the Murph on the CrossFit app the night before. I said, there ain't nothing wrong with you. It's raining. I was like, well, you've been having that calf issue. You're going to get out there and run those miles in the rain. You're going to slip and hurt that calf again. Just stay here, dude. You run the 100 miles or you bike the 100 miles. You're fine. Did some more orders, looked at the clock. I was like, dude, today's Monday. You did that ride Saturday. That ride's over with. You're being a punk.
Mhm.
At 8:35, I got in the truck and went over there. Glad I did.
Yeah.
100% glad I did.
Yeah, we talked about that briefly this morning at the gym. I think, you know, the next step in your growth in terms of just your fitness stuff is going to be now like coming to the realization that you are getting to the point that you can start to do more
Yeah.
than you used to be able to do. So instead of staying in the same place that you've been in for the last, 4 or 5 months, you're going to have to start adding more weight, more
Right.
intensity, to keep that trajectory of growth
Right.
going. And you'll have to play with that a little bit. You'll have to figure out like, okay, how much more can I do? I pushed it a little bit too hard, maybe that was too much, but yeah, you have to, it really should never get easier.
Right.
It's just the intensity goes up, or the weight goes up, or the distance just goes up. So it never really gets easier, because as you get better, you're just adding more to it in order to maintain that sweet spot of, okay, I'm growing here.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that.
So-
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, that's good, man. That was a good day.
Real good day.
What's up, young Blake? Oh,
Well, we got some super chats here. Let's go through them, shall we? We got Chili Jr.
oh, this episode,
Oh.
by the way, this episode is brought to you by our partner at Barbell Apparel. Dude, these are my new go-to shorts right here. Check out how good that looks. Check out how good that Be Hard When It Gets Hard logo looks on them black shorts, son.
Look at it.
That's the Adapt short. Come on, man. Come on, son.
Look at it.
Just look at it. If you guys don't know, Barbell Apparel has been a partner with us here at 307 Project for a long time now. They're amazing people with really, really great apparel. They've got everything you need, from jeans to workout gear to collared shirts, anything you need for any area of your life. If you want to look good, you want to look like me, well, that's not an option. But the closest you can get is by going out and getting you some Barbell Apparel. And you're going to look better tomorrow than you look today when you put that stuff on, son. They stand behind their products. They got a lifetime. Is it a lifetime guarantee on the jeans, Blake?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, they stand behind their products. And they're just amazing people. So check them out at barbellapparel.com. And it's getting warm out there. If you need you a good new pair of running shorts or shorts to wear in the gym, check out these Adapt shorts. They've made a ton of upgrades to these. They took a lot of the things that we learned on Cocodona, and they made the upgrades to this short to really have a great fit and features that you won't see in a lot of other shorts. So a good, comfortable pair of shorts are critical if you guys are out there getting after it this summer, like we're doing here at 307 Project. So Barbell, thank you for all the support that you've given us here. And if you guys want to support them because they support this podcast, it means a lot to us, and we appreciate it. That's barbellapparel.com.
Thank you. Well, I heard you say Chili Jr., Blake, and I just want to say that he's been.
Yeah, Blake, I didn't mean to interrupt you, man.
but Chili Jr. has been acting. I don't know what's happened. He said he had a call with you, Chad.
Yeah, I talked to him.
Whatever you did, he's been totally different at home.
Yeah, I had a talk with him.
I can't explain it other than thank you.
Yeah, you're
So
welcome.
he's been totally different. He's been cleaning up after himself. I told him not to get on the super chat this week, and it sounds like he has, but I mean, it's been way different for me and his mom. So
Well, that's good. I'm glad I could help.
Well, and that's interesting because in his super chat, he said, I've realized I'm a turd. And gave $1.99.
That's what we talked about.
did you?
I'm glad you took my words to heart, Chili Jr.
And you'll like this one. Shane Owens arm wrestling come in at $5. Said you need to get with me before the next arm wrestling tournament. I'll train you up. Also, thanks for helping me stay motivated. Down 80 pounds in 6 months.
Dang, Shane.
That's what's
Oh,
up.
80
Shane
pounds.
Owens.
That's
pretty
legit,
awesome.
man.
Yeah.
He dropping him weight
Well,
classes.
I'm gonna go ahead and
right.
tell you, Shane, I ain't never arm wrestling again. I'm through with that bunch of bull crap.
Well,
I ain't doing that again.
all right.
Then we had Barry Tavis come in at $4.99. He said 3 weeks ago, I realized the guy I'm watching do gun reviews is the same from just 1 mile. Found your podcast. Join your Patreon. God bless.
Well, thank you, Barry.
Well, dang, Barry.
Appreciate your support.
Yeah, thank you, man. I'm sorry it took you so long to realize that this was the same person. I mean, I guess I don't know how you can miss me, but we're glad you're here, buddy.
Then we had the beard come in at $9.99.
Well, thank you. No message?
Nope. We had Michael Underwood come in at $9.99. Appreciate all you guys and all that you do. Got me a new pair of barbell shorts. They're awesome. Keep it up.
Awesome.
Awesome, man. Thank you guys. Thank you for supporting Barbell, man. It makes a difference. Our partners are a big part of the sustainability of the podcast and the YouTube channel. Our partners in our Patreon are basically the only reason all this is able to happen. So that does mean a lot that you guys would go and spend your hard-earned money with Barbell instead of some other place. And I think you'll be satisfied too.
Mark Stoddard coming in at $9.99. CB inspired me to get back on a mountain bike this week again. I'll be watching Resurrected Sunday night from the hospital bed.
Dang, Mark. From the hospital bed?
That's what he said.
Bad bum.
He might be saying he's going to wreck the mountain bike.
I
or
hope
something.
not.
Come on, Mark.
Well, Mark, we'll see you on Resurrected. I think I'm going to teach a message on Resurrected. I don't know for sure yet, but I think I'm going to teach a message on Sunday called Why Are You Not Ashamed? I think that's what I'm going to teach on Resurrected. So I hope to see you there.
We had Patrick Rowe come in at 99 cents.
There you go, Patrick.
Thank you, Patrick.
You ain't getting none from me, Patrick.
We had Vinny 01 coming at $100.
Whoa,
Good
Vinny.
night.
I really have been blessed by the conversations. Keep going, brother.
Golly, Vinny.
Man, Benny, that's over the top, dude. Dang.
We had James Wright come in at $4.99.
Uh-oh, Chili.
He said, "Hurry up, boys. I'm in the parking lot waiting. Chili is a pipe dream. Ready for that fishing trip without Chili."
I am
Kelly
a pipe
Girl
dream.
Charters.
Dang.
That's all this has been for, James.
Thank you for your support,
That's all
James.
this has been for, is for you to know I'm nothing but a pipe dream.
We had Mark Porter come in at $19.99. First thing I saw when I laid eyes on Stacy was not her intellect. I trusted but had to verify. God bless. He sent that during the time of the marriage conversation.
Thank you, Mark.
Patrick Rowe coming back in at 99 cents.
You go, Patrick.
Patrick, I don't know if you're privy to the conversation, but we do not take 99 cents super chats. All right.
Thank you, Patrick.
Maybe it's your first time joining, but we do not accept 99 cent
Thanks, Patrick.
super chats. All right. So you might
Appreciate you, Patrick.
you might not want to do that next time.
We had Robert Lee come in at $30. If it is
Ely?
just Robert Lee.
Okay.
Yep. If it's the desire of your heart to get married, tell God. When you come to those lonesome moments, be disciplined and pray for your future wife. Tell God about your dream girl. He will prepare her for you and you for her.
Good word.
Robert.
Chickweed YGD coming at $19.99.
What?
Thank you,
Chickweed.
thank you, Chickweed.
Thank you, Chickweed.
I like that.
Robert Lee coming back in at $30. God made the world, then made man, walked with Adam and realized, in quotations he's put here, dang, Adam needs a woman. Becoming a husband teaches man to truly love his wife, kids to better love his friends. A husband is part of the dad life cycle.
Thanks for adding that. Yeah. I'm sorry, Robert. We're here with a bunch of woman haters, except for me. Bunch of low T woman haters. I agree with you, Mark. I mean, Robert.
That's Robert. Middle name Edward.
Last name Lee.
We had Don come in at $4.99. The goat father dictates the weather, or like okay down for any hills. They make ant hills. Shin,
Now, Blake,
Shin,
can
it's
you-
gonna rain
can
so
you-
they don't get flooded.
That's a really good statement, Don. Thank you for sharing that with the listeners. We are all better off because of your statement. Thank you, Blake.
Thank you,
Robert
Don.
Lee coming back in at $40.
Golly,
Good
Robert.
night, Robert.
If we didn't have marriage, all man would do is perfect war and their schemes and desires. Marriage pours the perspective of God's love upon us each and every day. We stay committed. Aligns a man to commit, gives him life back.
Yep. I love my marriage too, Robert. My marriage with my wife is the best part of my earthly existence.
Bubba Williams coming in at $9.99.
Thank you, Bubba.
Bravo Zulu from Chesapeake, Virginia.
Chesapeake, Virginia.
What's that mean?
Yes, sir. Been there before. Bravo Zulu is like a job well done.
Chase Sarity coming at $9.99. What are y'all's thoughts on Ozempic for weight loss?
Ozempic.
Is that new shot that everybody's taking?
Ozempic, you'll see ads for that on the television.
Yeah.
A lot of people are taking that. Every celebrity you've seen that's had a big weight loss transformation has been taking that Ozempic.
Oh, that's
But he
good.
asked what our thoughts were. What do you think about it, Corn?
I would say, what's going on with you? Why you can't put in the work to lose the weight?
Well, that's a good
You're just
question.
going to take the shot and keep the same habits. You're going to take the shot and change your habit. Just don't take the shot.
Yeah.
That's it.
Boom.
Don come back in at $4.99. He said, "Amen." And
Thank you, Don.
Thank you.
Don adds a lot to the conversation.
Thank you, Don.
I think he's gotten with little Virgil ones.
He's about to take LV's spot.
I have faith LV came in today, but
He did.
okay.
He was talking about Cedartown. He
Was he?
said, "Yeah." He said that's a dry city and that's a stop place for race cars.
Cedartown.
That's why it's probably why it's that way.
Well,
You
thank
mean LV wrote out a legible sentence?
Well, yeah, he's commenting right now.
Thank you, LV.
Babe
the
Ruth
heck?
point. He said,
Believe that.
That's more like it, LV.
Babe Ruth did point and he smacked the far out of a home
he said,
run.
"Don't strain your eyes. Rest them on the line."
That's more like LV.
Thank you.
Remember that time that guy called in claiming to be LV and he really wasn't?
God, and you just went right along with it.
I'll tell you what, if I ever see that guy, it ain't gonna be good.
What about when Marjorie Taylor Greene called? Man, I seen her doing some power cleans on a video the other day.
Uh-huh.
She don't play, dude.
Are
No.
you kidding me,
I'm
dude?
talking about MTG. She was doing some mean power cleans. I'm gonna find that video and show you when the podcast is over. You're gonna be astonished.
I ain't watching that video.
Oh, golly, if I show it to you, you will.
No.
You know, you work out in the hallowed grounds.
You,
used
you
to
know
work
what,
out at.
Corn?
Yeah.
You're just watching that daggone video, lusting after her.
No, I ain't neither. Now you ain't gonna
you are
put that
watching
on
that
me.
video,
My crackers,
lusting
I
after
ain't
her.
Bull hockey. How
I ain't watching that
I'm
sinful
appalled
crap.
at your statement.
Everything. Look,
I am
I am
appalled
not
at your
watching
sta-
that sinful video.
She ain't even.
I
in
guarantee
plaid
you, she's
get-up.
in there in some tight clothes, flaunting her body
Show ain't.
off, hoping Donald Trump
You are
sees it and
mad
wants to
because
lay
she
with
power
her.
cleans.
They gonna go walk on the Silver Comet.
Marjorie Taylor, she's posting them work videos, hoping Trump sees it and wants to lay with her. And you're getting sucked into it. You
Hey,
ain't
now,
showing me
man.
that sinful crap, man.
It's hard to do a power clean when you
Keep
swelled
that
up.
crap to yourself, man.
He's mad because she can out power clean him.
She's
Yeah.
jacked.
Oh yeah, she don't play.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we had Chad Robinson come in at $9.99. He said, "Enjoyed listening to y'all. Great godly men. Headed through Rome next month, going to Blue Ridge. What's a good place to eat? Y'all be safe. Roll Tide."
Well, there ain't much good places to eat in Rome, Chad. I'm sorry, but there's nothing in Rome that's really worth recommending to eat. That's just the reality of it, Bubba. That's just the reality of it. Go to somewhere else if you want to get a good meal, because it ain't Rome.
Richard Stevens come in at $5. Love spending this time of my week with you guys. Thanks for all the great messages. God bless you all and have a blessed week.
Thank you for that comment, Richard. Thank you so much, buddy.
Davis Weingar coming in at $99.99.
Good.
Oh,
Good night.
Thank you.
No
He
message.
didn't say nothing.
No.
Golly, David.
Dang, Davis. Thank you,
Davis.
buddy.
Garrett coming in at $20. What a epic adventure. I'm so happy for G to be able to have this experience with all of you at his age. Priceless.
Yep. That's
right.
the truth, Garrett. What it's all about.
Dan Crumpton coming in at $4.99. Praises to God since I've survived 49 years in Alabama. Didn't even realize I grew up in Somalia. He said, "Love you, Blake. Good lessons on Sunday." Hey, Chad.
Hey, Chad.
Hey, Bubba.
Thank you.
I bet he's got a garden.
We had Caleb Carter come in at $10. He said, "My Garmin recently told me my fitness age is 39 after I started running this week. I turned 28 this coming Sunday. Garmin is going to eat those words in a couple months."
Yeah, Caleb, you know the best thing you can do with that Garmin, go out and take it out there in your driveway and smash it with a sledgehammer. Thing don't know nothing about you.
Little Virgil sent a smiley face with money signs in the eyes, coming in at 99 cents.
There you go.
Thank you, LV.
You're a freaking disgrace, LV.
No. Nope. That's permitted.
Garrett coming back in at $20 said, "CB, keep inspiring all of us on your finest journey. It's amazing. 100 miles on the bike is no joke. Then doing the Murph. Amazing, brother."
Thank you, Garrett.
Yeah, y'all better watch CB, man. He's coming in hot.
Joshua Robertson coming in at $99.99.
Good
Good
night.
He said, "Here's some paper
Oh my
mill money.
Gosh.
I'm thankful for all y'all do. Corn is looking like a boss."
Thank you, Joshua.
Hey.
Josh follows us on Instagram, has for a long time. Do you see his progress photo?
Oh yeah,
Looking stout
yeah,
too.
yeah.
You see that?
He come by the race. Remember?
Mhm.
Yeah. He's stout.
That's
son.
good, man.
Yeah.
Bearded Red Double Alt coming in
Double
at
alt.
$5. No message.
Thank you, Bearded Red.
Muscled Up Runner Greer, $9.99.
There you
Super
go.
proud of you, CB. God bless and love y'all. John 14:1.
Thank you, Muscled Up Runner.
Marty Bingham coming in at $19.99.
Oh,
No message.
Marty.
Cole Cunningham coming in at $20. Good afternoon. Hope all is well. Have a great rest of the week.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Cole. You
Cole.
have a good week
Cole.
too, man.
Little Virgil coming in with an emoji face crying at 99 cents.
Yep. Thank you.
You know what? I'm starting to think LV lives in Cedartown.
Well, if he does
Well, I'm starting to think he does.
have that encounter.
Marty Bingham coming in at $19.99. No
Great,
message.
Marty.
Hey, thank you,
Dang,
Marty.
Social Apostate coming in at 99 cents with a smiley face with some sunglasses on, and followed up by a $20 one. And he said, "Chad's going to take my 99 cents and he's going to like it."
Social apostate. First of all, you're going to come up on this video with a YouTube name like that and try to tell me that I'm going to do something, man? You must have lost your freaking mind, dude. You know who you're talking to right now, trying to throw me up a 99 cents? I'll tell you what, Bubba. I'll be seeing you.
Again. Clock and Floor coming in at $1.99.
Decoy.
Decoy Super Chat. Love
Dang.
you guys. The Gatekeeper coming in at $1.99. These Super Chats are harder to type in. I get it.
Well,
There you
me
go,
too.
Gatekeeper.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Whatever that means.
Cole Cunningham coming in at $10. Whenever I'm in a low spot, I always refer back to Psalm 16:8. I keep my eyes always on the Lord, with him at my right hand, and will not be shaken. If anyone needed to hear that today.
That's Cole.
Yep.
Thank you, Cole.
And the final one comes from, wait a minute, a couple more. LV come in with the banana emoji at 99 cents.
Thank you.
Good.
And then Social Apostate come back in at $20. He said, "Come beat me like a Memphis trick, Chad."
Whoa.
All right.
Well, look, social apostate, man, you can be friends if you gonna quit that 99 cent crap. Man, you can be. We're friends again. I know you were just messing about, Bubba, but look, we can be friends again. I forgive you.
Michael Johnston coming in at $5. Thank you for all you do.
Thank you, Michael.
Michael.
Thank y'all for tuning in.
That's it.
All right.
Outstanding. Outstanding. No, we really do appreciate you guys for tuning into the show, man. It means a lot to us to be able to, I don't know, see you guys a lot of the same people week to week, and just know that, I don't know, it feels like we got a cool little group here. And God bless all you guys, man. Lord willing, we'll be talking to y'all next week. And yeah, we love each and every one of you. Enough said.